publiko na patuloy na nakasubaybay sa mga updates ng kagawaran ng edukasyon. Sa pamamagitan po ng ating pakikipagtulungan sa mga kasamahan natin sa media, tayo po ay live din sa iba't ibang bahagi ng Pilipinas, gaya ng Tirad Pass Network sa Ilocos Sur, Planet Cable DWAT, Teleradyo, Ilocos Norte, CLTV 36, Region 3, Romblon Cable, Mimaropa, Kabankalan Community Antenna Cable, Kabankalan City, Negros Occidental. Sa mas pinalawak na communication network ng Department of Education, kasama rin natin ang mga kasamahan nating mga media sa unang pagkakataon sa National Press Briefing, ang mga mamahayag mula sa iba't ibang bahagi ng Pilipinas. Para po sa ating mga resource persons, ngayong umaga, of course, pinangungunahan ng ina ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon, Secretary Leonor Magtolis Briones, Undersecretary and Chief of Staff Attorney Nepomuceno Malaluan, Undersecretary for Administration Yusek Alain Pascua, Undersecretary for Finance Yusek Annalyn Sevilla, Undersecretary for Field Operations Yusek Rebsi Escobedo, and of course Yusek Diosdado San Antonio will also join us in a few. We also have with us Assistant Secretary G.H. Ambat ng Alternative Learning System, Director Abram Abanil ng ICTS, at Director Ronil Daco ng ating Disaster Risk Reduction Management Service. Bago natin simulan ang press conference na ito, panoorin po natin ang mensahe ng Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte para sa mga paghahandang isinasagawa ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon.
I would like to congratulate the Department of Education as it launches its distance learning approach for school year 2021 to the Handang Isip, Handang Bukas National Kick-Off Virtual Program. Our current situation with COVID-19 pandemic requires us to adopt innovative and effective measures to maintain the progress of students while ensuring their utmost health and safety. I join you in your collaborative efforts in demonstrating the capacity and preparedness of DepEd to operationalize learning delivery modalities in various school settings. With basic education learning community plan provide that much needed boost in all urban and rural schools in the country. Let us work together to successfully get the students back to track as we promote their well-being amidst global health crisis. I wish you a successful event.
Sa punto pong ito, bago tayo dumako sa mga ulat ng iba't ibang sangay ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon para sa paghahanda sa school year 2020-2021 at bago ang katanungan ng ating mga kasamahan natin sa media, here's a short video na ngayon lang po natin matutunghayan na pinamagatang letra. Parte po ng DepEd serye na produce ng Office of the Undersecretary for Administration.
Lola, alam mo ba, ayaw pa rin mag-school ng friend kong si Brian. Kasi daw may COVID pa.
Ano namang sinabi mo sa kanya, Apo?
Ang sabi ko po, hindi naman po talaga papasok sa school eh. Sa bahay lang mag-aaral hanggat may COVID pa.
Ano namang sagot niya?
Tapos sabi niya, paano daw mag-aaral sa bahay wala namang teacher sa bahay? Di ba nga Lola? Ano nga ulit yung tawag doon sa hindi naman papasok sa school pero mag-aaral pa rin?
Apo, ang tawag niyan ay distance learning.
Yun nga po, mag-aaral pa rin kami gamit ng computer. Di ba Lola?
Oo, pero bukod sa online, may mga lessons din na ipapalabas sa TV at radio para makapag-aral pa rin ang mga bata kahit wala kayong computer at internet.
Paano po kapag wala ring TV at radyo?
May ipamimigay na mga printed material ang mga teachers sa inyo.
Di ba po ang tawag dun blend?
Ako, blended learning. Ibig sabihin ng blended learning ay gagamitin ang iba't ibang pamamaraan ng pagtuturo gamit ang internet, ang TV, radyo, at ang print para hindi kailangang pumunta sa school ng mga teachers at mga bata.
Kaya po pala si Teacher Rose hindi na rin kailangan pumasok ng school.
Tama, hindi na rin papasok ang mga teachers sa school para gagabayan pa rin nila kayo at laging tatawagan ang mga magulang para kukumustahin ang pag-aaral ng mga bata tulad mo.
Tumawag nga po si Teacher Rose si nanay. Ang sabi niya, mag-download ng DepEd Commons sa cellphone Games ba yun, Lola?
May kasama ding games, pero yung may matutunan ka. May mga lessons din kasi sa DepEd Commons na pwedeng gamitin ng mga magulang at teachers para maturuan ang mga bata.
Sasabihin ko rin po kay Brian na mag-download siya ng DepEd Commons.
At sabihin mo rin sa kanya na huwag na siyang matakot mag-school. Dahil sa pasukan, sa bahay lang naman kayo mag-aaral. Gamit ang internet. Kung walang internet, TV. Kung walang TV, radyo. At kung walang radyo, ay print.
Oo nga po, Lola. Hindi naman po pala dapat huminto sa pag-aaral kahit may COVID
Magtutulungan kami para magpatuloy ang edukasyon.
And now, may we welcome our Secretary of the Department of Education, Professor Emeritus Leonor Magtolis Briones, para po sa kanyang pambungad na pananalita. Ma'am?
Magandang umaga sa lahat. I hope all of us had a restful and reflective weekend. Hindi na siguro kailangang magsalita ako ng mahaba o mag-lecture pa dahil pinaliwanag na ng Presidente ang konsepto ng blended learning at saka distance education. At ang bata naman atin namang pinapaliwanagan kung anong ibig sabihin ng mga pagbabago sa ating sistema ng pag-transmit ng learning. So for once, hindi ako masyadong magsasalita. Ang magsasalita ay ang aking mga opisyales na directly in charge sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mga programa ng Department of Education. Magbigay lang ako ng updates dahil araw-araw nagbabago ang ating enrollment numbers. Umabot na ang ating enrolled students, learners to 23,643,113. So 23.6 million, that's already 85% of last year's enrollment in spite of COVID, in spite of the downturn in the economy, in spite of all the challenges that we are all facing. Na-achieve na natin 96% ng ating dating enrollment sa public sector. Ngayon, nag-pick up naman ang ating enrollment sa private sector schools dahil siguro nabubuksan na ang ekonomiya natin little by little, hinay-hinay, lalo na sa NCR at saka sa Region 4A. At sa tingin natin, baka unti-unti na ring babalik ang ating mga estudyante na pumipili ng mga private schools para sa kanilang edukasyon. So umabot na ng 41% ng ating total enrollees ang nasa private sector. At saka yung pag-migrate ng mga learners from private sector schools to public sector schools ay mukhang kumakalma na dahil nabubuksan na ang ating ekonomiya. Ang ating weekly press con, nag-decide kami na sa kadaming developments dito sa DepEd, kailangan week on week o kung pwede pa lamang ay day-to-day update sa media dahil kayo naman ang namamalita sa kabuuan ng ating bansa. Maraming mga pangyayaring napakaganda at very inspiring. Kaya yung ating mga directors, assistant secretaries, and USECs, sila ang magre-report sa inyo. Ang gusto ko lang ibabalita kasi mangyayari na sa Wednesday, ang City of Manila under Yorme, mag-umpisa na sila ng pag-distribute ng mga tablets at saka computers para sa teachers and learners na naka-enroll sa Maynila. Ito ay napakalaking bahagi ng ang ating methodology for teaching, lalo na sa NCR na gumagamit ng mga online strategies. So magdi-distribute na starting Wednesday, uunahin ang teachers. Teachers ay bigyan sila ng laptops, iba't ibang sizes para sa mga mababang grado, tablets, para sa mga middle grades ay yung umpisa na ng paggamit ng computer at saka para sa teachers ay laptops. Pero siguro magtatanong kayo, ano bang ating precautions para masigurado natin na safe at tama ang paggamit nitong mga gadgets na ito tulad ng ginagawa. Kasi 2 years na nagdi-distribute ang DepEd ng mga laptops at saka computers sa ating mga teachers. Each gadget ay talagang may markayan sa loob. Pagbukas mo lang magsasabi na this is the property, for example, this is donated by the City of Manila in cooperation under the chairmanship of the ating school board and so on, nandyan. Kaya hindi pwedeng iprenda, hindi pwedeng ibebenta dahil lalabas at lalabas yun at hindi yan mabubura. At saka ang parents naman natatanggap on behalf of their children, mag-commit sila, magkaroon ng kasunduan na aalagaan nila itong mga gadgets na pinamimigay natin. Pero this coming Wednesday, umpisa sa mga parents. At sa palagay ko, susunod kaagad sa Maynila, ang lungsod naman ng Pasig, in process na rin ang pag-procure ng mga gadgets sa City of Pasig. At sa tingin ko, maraming mga local governments na nag-umpisa na ng paggamit ng kanilang special education fund na isang national tax on real property na gagamitin para sa edukasyon, sila ay kumikilos na talaga sa mga pangangailangan ng ating mga schools dahil yon ang mando ng ating batas sa ating law. It's mandated by law. Kaya isa lang ito sa mga magagandang pangyayari. Palaki ng palaki ang ating enrollment. sinabi ko na, umabot na sa public sector enrollment natin ay 96% na of last year's enrollment. Ang private sector naman, lumalaki na, umabot na ng 41% of last year's enrollment. At saka sa ALS naman, sa alternative learning systems na i-report mamaya ni ASIC-GH, ay dumadami na rin ang mga learners natin na bumabalik. Kaya ito ay araw ng magandang balita, ito ay araw ng pag-asa, ito ay araw na looking forward to the formal opening on October 5. Pero even before October 5, napakarami ng activities ang nangyayari. Mga webinars para sa ating teachers, mga briefings para sa ating mga bata, psychosocial preparations para October 5 in punto diretso na sa formal learning aspects. Tapusin na natin yung lahat ng mga preparatory briefings and so on, preparations for our teachers, our learners, and also our staff. So on this note, maraming salamat sa inyong patience. Maraming salamat for faithfully reporting what is happening in education. At maraming salamat sa interest ninyo sa education. Dahil ang education ay hindi lamang responsibilidad ng isang departamento, but ito ay challenge sa ating lahat. Sa buong Asia, tayo ang pinakahuling magbubukas ng klase. Sana classmate natin si Cambodia kasi August ang schedule natin, pero dahil mahal na mahal natin ang ating learners at teachers, we moved it further to October, pero hahabol tayo. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, ma'am. Tayo rin po pala ay live po sa CNN Philippines. So dumako na po tayo sa ulat ng iba't ibang opisyalis po ng kagawaran. May we recognize Assistant Secretary G.H. Ambat para po sa paghahanda na ginagawa para sa alternative learning system. Ma'am?
Happy start of the work week sa ating mga kasamahan sa media, sa ating stakeholders, and of course, sa aking DepEd family led by the tireless and the very wise Secretary Liling. As mentioned, I will be giving updates on alternative learning system. For those who have forgotten or for those who do not know yet, ang DepEd ay may programa para sa ating out-of-school youth and adults para sila ay makapagpatuloy ng pag-aaral, nang sa gayon ay magkaroon sila ng mas maayos na trabaho, kung hindi naman ay makapagpatuloy sa kolehiyo or makapagpatuloy sa higher skills training ng TESDA. Ito po ay ang alternative learning system. Sa ilalim po ng alternative learning system, meron pong dalawang programa. Ito po ay ang basic literacy para po ito doon sa mga hindi pa po nakakabasa, nakakasulat, or nakakapagbilang, or may limitadong kakayanan para sa mga kakayanan na yon. At ang pangalawa naman po ay ang accreditation and equivalency program para po ito sa mga nag-drop out ng elementarya at high school. At through the ALS program, binibigyan po namin sila ng pagkakataon para sila ay magkaroon ng kakayanan at para makumpleto po nila ang kanilang pag-aaral sa elementarya at sa high school. So, yan po, nakikita niyo po sa slide kung ano po ang alternative learning system. Marami pong pamamaraan kung paano po tayo makakapag-aral through ALS, no? Yung pong mga learning delivery modalities na binabanggit po natin ngayon for this coming school year ay hindi na po bago sa ALS. Noon pa po ginagamit ang learning delivery modalities na ito katulad po ng modular, blended, radio-based at online learning. In fact, noon pong nag-lockdown, karamihan po sa ating mga learners ay hindi pa po nakukumpleto ang kanilang pag-aaral noon. At sa pamamagitan po ng ating mga teachers, no, dahil sanay na sanay po sila sa remote learning, distance learning, so ginamit po nila itong mga iba't ibang pamamaraan na to para kahit na wala pong klase, hindi po sila makapag-meet face-to-face, ay makapagpatuloy sa pag-aaral ang ating mga learners. So again, modular, ito po yung mga, sa ALS po, may modules kami from basic literacy to high school. blended learning, kung nakikita niyo po sa litrato, ang aming mga learners ay nag-access sa online at sila po ay nakikita ng kanilang mga teacher habang sila po ay nagsasagot ng kanilang mga activity sheets. Radio-based instruction, hindi rin po bago sa ALS ito. In fact, we have classes in almost all regions at marami na pong nakagraduate na nag-undergo ng radio-based instruction. At of course, no, doon po sa mga may gadget, doon po sa mga may access sa internet, doon po sa mga may gadget, doon po sa mga may access sa internet, meron na rin pong online learning available for them for this coming school year. Sa NCR po, sa aming pakikipag-partnership with Sandiwaan Center of Learning, Cypher Learning at Solar, kami po ay nakapag-develop ng learning management system, tinatawag na NEO. At ang ating po mga learners, kahit hindi na po sila lumabas sa bahay, if they will have their accounts through the learning management system of NEO, which will be piloted this coming school year, sila po ay makakapag-aral na. Meron din po kaming mga Moodle sites in Visayas, particularly in Negros Occidental. At of course, no, sa Davao, meron pa rin po kaming e-eskwela. So ito po mga modalities na ito ay hindi bago sa ALS at ginagamit namin. And for this coming school year, ganito pa rin po ang aming gagawin para po makapagpatuloy sa pag-aaral ang ating out-of-school youth and adults. At kumbaga kahit na po may mga limitations sa movement, pwede pa rin po silang makapagtapos. So next please. Ano po yung mga ginagawa namin sa ALS ngayon? So kami po ay nagtitrain na ng aming mga teachers for blended learning. This is in partnership with UNICEF, in partnership with USAID. So far, since May, kami po ay hinahanda na po namin ang mga teachers natin for this coming school year para po for those teachers with students who want to go online, meron pong training para doon. Para naman po dun sa mga blended ang learning, tinitrain po namin sila kung paano sila mag-a-assess, kung paano po sila magtuturo. Although alam na alam po nila ang blended learning at remote learning, but we have to build on some of the skills that they have. Sumusunod din po kami dun sa minimum health standards. Kaya po ang ating mga CLCs dun sa picture banda dito sa kanan, kung makikita po ninyo, ang mga CLCs po namin ay meron na pong mga signs na nakapost dyan kung paano po yung social distancing. Ang alcohol ay ready para po dun sa mga kukuha ng modules. Since last month, nagsimula na rin po ang mga orientation ng mga magulang at ng mga learners sa iba't ibang division offices kung paano po aandar o kung paano po makakapag-aral ang mga out-of-school youth and adults natin. At na-appreciate po ito ng community. And we thank the division offices who have started already and who are also tireless in orienting our learners and their parents. Tapos, yun nga, pinahanda na po namin ang mga modules. Marami na po ang nakapag-print. There are some divisions who even prepared learners kits for their students. Para po sa kaalaman ng karamihan, yung pong mga learners ng ALS kasi marginalized, a lot of them are poor. So, yung mga efforts po ng division to give learners kits kung saan nandiyan na yung modules, learner activity sheets, papel, na-appreciate po namin yun. At ito po ay dinidistribute na po nila for those who already enrolled. So next please. Ang ALS po ay parte po ng kampanya ng Sulong Edukalidad. We are pivoting from access to quality, and we want to make sure na kahit po flexible learning ito, kahit po for out-of-school youth and adults, they will get the same competencies as those in the formal school. Kaya sinasabi namin, second chance education does not have to be second class. At yung mga reforma po, since pumasok po si Secretary Liling sa kanyang administrasyon, we made sure that yun pong curriculum ay ka-align po ng K-12. Tapos po yung mga teachers namin, patuloy namin silang tinitrain dahil we do believe that they're the ones who will deliver itong mga learnings na to. And meron din po kaming, starting last year, we launched itong life skills for work readiness and civic engagement. Karamihan po sa mga learners ng ALS ay nagtatrabaho. So we want to improve on their employability. Kumbaga, we want to train them on how to apply, how to go about interviews, Meron po kaming mga modules for life skills when you talk of financial fitness, entrepreneurship, teamwork and collaboration, kasi po yun yung mga kinakailangan kung sila po ay magtatrabaho or if they would want to be also productive in their communities. So next. Para po dun sa mga hindi pa po nag-e-enroll, bukas pa rin po ang enrollment for ALS. Nasa screen po ninyo yung contact details. You can reach us through Facebook and email us. Tapos dito po sa kabilang side, ways to enroll, nandiyan po, you can go to the barangay halls, you can go to the division offices. Meron po kami mga info materials doon on how to go about it. Tapos yung link po na nakalagay dyan, kung sino po kukontakin ninyo. So once again, no, sa atin pong mga kabataan na age 13 and up, kung hindi pa po kayo nakakapagtapos ng elementarya, meron pong ALS. Para naman po doon sa ating mga 16 years old and up na hindi pa po nakakapagtapos ng high school, meron pong, ito po ang programa para sa inyo kung gusto nyo pong makapag-aral, kung gusto nyo matrain for life skills to make you also work ready and be ready for the revealed and to become productive contributors at community building. So yun lang po, maraming salamat and good morning.
Maraming salamat, Assistant Secretary G.H. Ambat. Susunod po na magbibigay ng kanyang report ay si Director Abram Abanil. Director?
Hello. Magandang umaga, Secretary Briones. Magandang umaga sa ating mga partners sa media. Gusto ko lang ipagbigay sa inyo yung status ng ating computerization program, which is actually there to support yung online learning, which is one of the modalities ng ating basic, yung ating learning continuity plan ng DepEd. So sa kasalukuyan, meron na tayong more than 1 million devices in our schools, no? So 1,042,575 devices are already in 43,948 public schools all over the country. So this accounts for 93% ng ating schools ay meron na tayong mga iba't ibang mga computers, mga laptops, saka mga tablets sa mga na magagamit ng ating mga kabataan. And additionally, meron tayong i-deliver ng around 211,000 devices which are ready, which have been procured as early as December last year. But due to the delays na caused ng COVID, ang mga deliveries nila will be happening before the end of December 2020. Itong mga devices na to are meant to support yung online learning natin and also to augment yung existing na mga devices which are already at hand sa ating mga kabataan. Yung mga systems na dinideploy natin sa ICT service are designed to be used for either using mga smartphones, using mga tablets, using mga laptops. And sa kasalukuyan, kung tingnan natin yung data ng Kantar ng January, as of January 2020, 67% na actually ng ating population may sari-sariling mga smartphones. Kaya sinigurado ho namin na yung mga systems na dideploy natin ay naka-zero rate sa ating mga telcos para magamit ito ng ating mga kabataan na even using their smartphones even without having any load para mag-access ng mobile data. Ngayon, nabanggit din ni ASEC GH kanina na meron na tayong learning management system. So ang kagandahan nitong learning management system is pwede mag-create ng virtual classes yung ating mga teachers, no? And pwede, dito sa system na to, pwede nila ma-schedule yung mga activities and mga collaborative tasks. For example, pwede nila ma-assign sa ating sa kanilang mga bata na magbasa ng isang article or mag-view ng isang video lecture. Sa pamamagitan ng learning management system, malalaman nila kung ginawa ba ng bata o hindi itong mga activities na inassign ng teacher using the LMS. Aside from that, pwede din magkapag-conduct yung teacher ng mga online quizzes and formative assessments using that particular system. So as I mentioned earlier, itong learning management system namin, available to siya sa internet using a browser. Pwede din siya maging accessible using a smartphone. No? So ito again ay na-zero rate i-zero rate namin ito sa mga telcos para pag-access ng mga kabataan natin using their mobile phones, hindi sila kailangan magbayad ng load to be able to access the systems. Additionally, by the end of August 31, we will be issuing yung mga official DepEd email accounts ng lahat ng high school students. Pagdating ng September 15, mag-issue na rin kami ng lahat ng DepEd email accounts para naman sa lahat ng mga elementary school students. So itong email account na to ng ating mga kabataan, ito yung gagamitin nila sa pag-access ng learning management system para masigurado natin yung security ng ating mga kabataan. In terms naman of capacity building ng ating mga teachers, we have already trained around 385,000 teachers on ICT-based teaching through online trainings. Ginawa namin to as early as April up to June. No? So nag-train na kami ng 385,000 plus teachers. This accounts for around 45% ng lahat ng mga teachers natin nationwide. And kung tingnan natin yung statistics, nag-survey din kasi yung planning kung ilan yung mga teachers na merong access sa internet sa kanilang mga bahay, around nasa 47% yun. So halos lahat na actually ng mga teachers na may access ng sariling internet sa bahay ay na-train na natin on how to use ICT for teaching. So nag-conduct kami ng 11 courses, and among these courses, tinuro din namin kung paano gumamit ng learning management system ng DepEd. Kaya halos lahat ng teachers natin na merong access sa internet, marunong na to sila kung paano gamitin yung learning management system ng DepEd. Aside from that, we have also already prepared 1.5 hours of video lecture on how to use the learning management system that we broadcasted through TV way back nung August 11 sa dry run natin. Ang intention namin dito is ma-reach namin yung ibang teachers na walang access sa internet using TV as a medium, where 88% ng ating population ay merong actually access sa television. And then we are now in the process of developing an orientation program naman para sa parents and learners natin, again using TV as a medium para matutunan naman nila through television kung paano gumamit nitong learning management system. So yun ang summary namin with regards to on our how we are pushing forwards in making sure that online learning is accessible both for our teachers and for our learners in the department.
All right. Thank you so much, Director Abram Abanil ng ICTS. So mula sa ALS, online learning modality, pakinggan rin po natin ang updates mula kay Undersecretary Revsi Escobedo tungkol sa ating mga field operations at dry runs na sinasagawa. Sir, go ahead po.
Thank you, Director June. Isi-share ko po sa mga kasamahan natin sa media at kasamahan namin sa Department of Education, kay Secretary Ma'am Liling Briones, yung update sa field operations o kung ano ang nagaganap sa ating mga regions in terms of readiness for the October 5, 2020 school opening. Sisimulan ko po dun sa on the conduct of dry runs and simulations of regions. Most of the school divisions offices of the regions have already conducted their respective dry runs and simulations. For example, sa Region 1 ay meron pa silang ilo-launch o ika-conduct na dry run bago magbukas sa October 5. But nakapagsimula na sila mag-conduct ng dry runs, and hindi lang natin na lagay dito kung ilan na yung natapos out of 14 divisions. And then sa Region 2, merong isang school sa Tuguegarao City Science High School. Ito ay kakandak bago mag-October 5. And yung sa mga regions na tapos na, kagaya ng Region 4A, Region 4B, Region 6, tapos na sila sa kanilang dry run sa ANTAS divisions. And ang Region 5 ay merong 5 divisions na ikakandak bago sumapit ang October 5. And sa Region 7 na magkakaroon din sila ng region-wide dry run before October 5. And sa ibang regions like Region 8, Region 9, Region 10, Region 11, 12, 13, CAR and NCR ay halos po ay nakapag-conduct na sila ng kanilang mga simulations or dry run noong mga naunang linggo pa o bago yung Agosto 24. At yung mga scheduled dry runs nila ay ito na yung yung iba iuulit nila dahil may mga nakita silang gaps during the dry runs and i-improve nila. And some regional offices identified best practices that emerged during the dry runs of their division office. For example, in Region 10, they noted that the availability of the electronic learner enrollment and survey form or yung tinatawag natin na ELESF significantly provides for more efficient information dissemination and that with an accessible learner's profile. So our teachers will not have a hard time developing the weekly home learning plan. And another one is most of the regions are continuously conducting dry runs. So itong dry run simulations na kinakandak ng regions from today and before October 5 ay antas school level to eliminate or minimize the issues faced during the past runs or address gaps and to observe the implementation of their newly developed plans and system. So itong mga dry runs boosted the confidence of the parents that their children have opportunities to continuously learn through various modalities amidst the COVID-19 situation. And I would like to note in Region 8, numerous parents have become confident right after witnessing the simulations of the region. And the parents decided to enroll their children for this coming school year. And another update on the aspect of health and safety protocols, our regional offices and schools division offices have contextualized the mode of delivery of the self-learning modules in order to distribute these modules without endangering teachers and learners through establishing health and safety protocols. And the regions noted that they set the guidelines on how to implement health and safety protocols relative to the distribution and retrieval of the self-learning modules. For example, they have these practices like conduct of disinfection of learning materials prior packaging and distribution, forging stronger partnerships with barangay councils that will help in facilitating the distribution and retrieval of modules to their respective barangays, and then issuance of regional memoranda on strengthened management and response to COVID-19, and implementation of alternative work arrangement in all levels of governance, formulation of contingency plan for COVID-19 pandemic, and the last is the inclusion of COVID-19 protocols and other health-related reminders in teachers' package kits. And another one, our regional offices are also extend a partnership with the private sector for the support of our DepEd PELCP. So marami na po tayong mga regional offices ay nagkaroon ng partnership, especially dun sa mga local cable TV stations and radio stations. So nakalagay po dyan yung mga various regions where they engage the private sector in our basic education learning continuity plan. And our DepEd acknowledges the support of the local government units which committed to the department not only financially but as well as logistically through the delivery of the printed modules and other alternative learning materials. And I would like to highlight that some LGUs have provided assistance to our regional and division offices for other learning modalities, such as the radio-based instruction and the TV instruction by providing free of charge and discounted air times. And in some regions and divisions, the local government units have provided learners and teachers the equipment needed in the conduct of learning delivery, such as laptops, as mentioned by our secretary. Manila will start distributing our the laptops and tablets for our learners and other learning materials. And the total partnership that our SDOs have engaged is about 231 and approximately 122 TV partners and approximately 309 radio partners. All the regions with most of their schools division have entered into partnership with cable TV channels and radio stations for the delivery of learning instructions to serve as supplement to our self-learning rules. And then I would also like to share that private school opening prior to from Region 1 up to NCR and BARM, number of private schools that opened from June to August 21, 2020 are already 1,394, and we are expecting 6,449 more to open from August 24 to date up to October 5 of 2020. And status of printing of modules, most of the regions are in the advanced stage, like Region 1, Region 2, Region 4A, Region 9, Region 10, Region 13, and NCR. When we say advanced stage, the schools division offices are in 80% to 100% stage of self-learning modules printing. And progressing, Region 3, Region 4B, Region 5, Region 7, Region 8, Region 12. And catching up, Region 6, Region 11, Region 13, and CAR. And lagging behind, only four divisions. This printing of modules, ito yung requirement natin for the quarter. So ito po yung status natin based on the report of our regional offices. And so yung learning delivery modalities natin for the printed modules, all regions will adopt TV-based instruction, all regions radio-based instruction, and the numbers of schools na ready for printed modules, 18,920 for TV-based instruction, 2,819, and radio-based instruction, 3,352. And last one, our regional offices have efforts to capacitate teachers, parents, and stakeholders on distance learning. For example, on teachers, our regional offices and schools division offices regularly conduct psychosocial and mental health support. And for parents and guardians, we have also online orientation and seminars and online video series. And for other stakeholders, online help desk, we established These desks are established by some regions to cater to the concerns of stakeholders, and online webinars open to the public are available for the perusal of stakeholders. That's all, Director June, and thank you.
Maraming salamat, Undersecretary Revsi Escobedo, para po sa mga updates natin sa field operations. Maybe also recognize the Office of Congressman Roman Romulo, ang chairperson po ng Basic Education and Culture Committee, the House of Representatives, who is monitoring our press conference as of the moment. Maybe also request our friends in the media, Mr. Ken Cabaldera, to mute your microphone para po walang interference po dun sa ating live feed. Maraming salamat po. Okay. Ang susunod po na magbibigay ng kanyang report ay si Director Ronil Daco. Update po tungkol sa psychosocial preparation para sa school opening at yung sitwasyon or latest report sa epekto ng COVID sa Kagawaran. Director Ronnie, go ahead. Director Ronnie Ko. Ayun. Good morning, ma'am. Go ahead pa.
Good morning din po.
Siguro we can ask Jansen to share yung slides ni Director Ronnie. Jansen, go ahead.
I think
Okay na, ma'am?
I think okay na po. Ito po.
Okay.
Yes. Mapayapang umaga po sa ating lahat, lalong-lalo na po sa ating mga tagapanood na mga kawani sa DepEd, ang ating mga magulang, ang ating pong mga guro at ang ating mga mag-aaral. Una sa lahat, ipinaparating po ng Department of Education sa pangunguna po ng ating butihing Secretary, Leonor Magtolis-Briones, na mahalaga po ang inyong kaligtasan. Mahalaga rin ang kaginhawaan ng inyong isip, damdamin at kalooban. Kaya naman po, noon pa lang Pebrero, ay bilang pagresponde dito sa nagaganap na COVID-19 sa ating bansa, ay nagtatag na po ang DepEd ng mga iba't ibang structures, no? Magmula po sa central office hanggang regions, divisions at schools, no? Na siya pong tutugon, namamahala para po dito sa pagresponde natin sa COVID-19. May tinatawag po tayong DepEd Task Force COVID-19 sa central office at na-cascade po ito, may kaakibat na mga structures down the line as I have said. Pero sa loob din po ng central office, meron din pong namamahala lang para sa central office. Ito naman po yung tinatawag na Central Office COVID-19 Task Force. No? So ito po ay tumatanggap, no, ng ating mga iba't ibang cases, no, na nire-report po ng ating mga empleyado at pati na rin ng ating mga mag-aaral. Kaya naman, iba-iba pong polisiya, magmula pa Marso, no, kasama po yung ating structure sa February pa lang, ang nailabas na po ng ating departamento. If you are looking at the slides now, you can see that there have been 4 guidelines actually on case reporting and coordination. Dito po, tinatag natin ang ating mga hotlines, no? Hindi lang central office, regions, divisions, meron po tayo ng mga tot, pati mga school levels, kung saan pwedeng mag-report, no? At dito po inulit natin ang ating mga safety precautionary measures, no? Yung proper hand washing, yun ding mga cough etiquette natin, yung physical distancing, yung pag-disinfect ng mga schools, no? And also we have measures dito natin sa mga guidelines na ito, nilabas natin yung measures. Nung una, tawag pa natin dyan, no? Mga PUIs, PUMs, hindi po ba? So ito po lahat ng ano ba ang gagawin pag ikaw ay nakaramdam ng sintomas, no? So ito po yung inilatag ng ating mga guidelines. Basically, we have been facilitating the reporting and coordination, no, of our personnel who are affected with the proper authorities din po tulad ng DOH at yung mga LGUs ninyo. naglabas din po tayo ng tinatawag na alternative work arrangements, no, para po protektahan naman ang ating mga kawani. Lalong-lalo na ating sinabi rin na alinsunod sa mga issuances din ng other agencies ay yung pagbibigay ng hazard pay. In fact, we provide mga shuttle services to actually sunduin yung ating mga skeleton workforces, no, na pumapasok. Meron din po tayo, no, na inilabas noong June yung DepEd required health standards natin. Dito, no, alinsunod sa health standards ng DOH ay may iba't iba po tayong mga measures, no. Ito kabilang po ito ng ating learning continuity plan, no, para po sa pag-refer din, referral para pag-isolate at early detection ng mga pwedeng maapektuhan. Of course, we have the others also, no, very recent, no. Pinalawig po natin ang ating management of cases sa central office through the protocols on case management po, no? Dito po sa management na ito, binibigyan natin, no, we expanded the options for our employees na pwede ang quarantine. Unahin pa rin natin, of course, yung sa LGU, no, yung ating mga kasamahan na nagpo-provide naman ng appropriate, no, na pag-quarantine at mga services sa mga affected. Of course, yung may option din ang empleyado natin para sa bahay mag-quarantine. At kung walang-wala na po talaga, ay tayo ay nag-open din ng ating quarantine facility dito sa NEAP Marikina, kung saan naman tayo ay sa central office ay may binuo ng quarantine management team. At may mga ayuda po tayo, no, tulad ng yung pag-report nga, treatment at monitoring ng facility, yung pagbibigay ng transportation sa mga naapektuhan, at yung pag-provision ng pagkain at pati ng medical supplies. Okay? Gusto ko pong klaruhin sa inyo na ang mga ayuda na ito po ay para po sa ating mga empleyado. Ang ating pong mga estudyante, remember po na isa sa ating mga pinaka-challenging na decision pero ginawa natin para sa kanila, no, the secretary had taken, no, a decisive action na sabihin at ipatupad na ang ating classes ay magiging home-based po ang mga klase. That's why the assistants actually are extended to our employees. Kasi ang mga estudyante natin ay nasa care ng kanilang mga magulang. Ngayon, ito po sa required health standards, no, kaakibat po dyan ang mga pondo na ating mga tinutulong or assistance, no, para sa ating mga regions, divisions, and schools. Ito rin po, ito ay naipakita na rin po sa inyo ng ating Undersecretary for Finance, no, at some point, yung ating mga annual medical examination, yung hazard pay, yung World Teachers Day incentive, at syempre, ang aming pag-facilitate din ng iba't ibang assistance, halimbawa sa GSIS at ng PhilHealth. Ngayon, dumako po tayo dito sa ating mga cases, no? Ito po, unang-una, isa sa konteksto ko po muna, ang ating mga cases. Una, ang mga datos na ito po ay reported cases, no, sa department. Sabi ko sa inyo kanina, may mga hotlines kami. So ito po ay galing po mismo doon sa mga naapektuhan. Okay? So, at saka, inire-report din po ito, hindi po hiwalay na kumukuha kami ng datos tapos ibang LGUs, hindi po. Ito po ay bahagi rin ng mga na-report na nila sa mga LGUs. At ito po ay, ang coverage po nito ay cumulative po ito mula January 31 hanggang 23 August. No? Today po yan. Okay? Isa sa konteksto ko rin po yung ating bilang ng empleyado sa kabuuan at pati mga learners sa buong bansa. Ang learners po natin sa buong bansa ay more than 21 million. Ang teaching naman ay more than 871,000 at ang non-teaching ay 52,000 plus. So tignan po natin ang mga cases natin sa kabuuan sa buong Pilipinas, no, na po ito. Ang confirmed cases po natin ay 823, no? Ang ating active, pag nakita nyo naman, ay 310. No? Makikita nyo po dito ilan ang learners, ilan ang teaching, at ilan din ang non-teaching personnel. Mas malaki po ang ating recovered, no? Maganda ang ating good news po tayo dahil 490 po ang recovered natin. Of course, unfortunately and sadly, there are those who have actually succumbed to COVID-19. At pinaparating po ng ating secretary din, no? Because one life matters, no? Na we sympathize with all those who have lost lives, no? Na mga kapamilya o mga kaibigan po ninyo. So ito po ang ating datos para sa ating cases, no? Let's break it down po para makita nyo ang central office, no? Nakita nyo na nabalitaan nyo naman siguro yung may cases talaga tayo, pero ito po yon. We have actually confirmed 19 cases, ano? Ito pong ano natin, ang ating pong active ay 6 sa kasalukuyan. May isa po tayo unfortunately, no, nag-succumb din a week ago, no, sa ating sa COVID-19, and actually nagsagawa po ang departamento ng prayer nationwide para po sa ating mga hindi lang sa namatay, sa lahat po ng pumanaw, pero para po sa lahat ng mga apektado, kasama na po ang iba na kahit hindi DepEd ay para po sa buong bansa, no? Yung ating paghihil as one. Yun pong regional naman ay ito po yon, no? Kikita nyo dito na 246 NCR po ang pinakamarami ngayon, kasama ang Region 7 at ang Region 4A, no? Ito naman ay nagko-coincide naman talaga sa hotspots ng bansa sa kasalukuyan. Okay? So ito po ang ating breakdown, no? Sa lahat po ng cases natin na inyong nakita, no, we would like to assure you, as you have also seen, na ginagawa po ng departamento ang lahat ng kanyang makakaya dahil nga lahat naman ay mahalaga, no? Wala po tayong tinatabi, no, sa ating kagawaran. So we take care of our people as you have seen, no, na mga efforts na ginagawa po natin. Kasama po dito sa ating ginagawa, no, ang kahalagahan ng inyong mental health, no? Kaya naman nagsasagawa ang Departamento ng Mental Health and Psychosocial Support Services. 3 po ang nilalayon ng ating MHPSS na tinatawag. Una, makapagbigay ng psychosocial support sa lahat. Parents, personnel, learners, kahit po yung ating mga learners with disabilities at ang kanilang mga magulang. And then secondly, to capacitate our personnel to be able to provide, no, sa kanilang mga learners. And then ang pag-establish po ng referral system. Okay? Ano po ang accomplishments? Ito po, nung unang-una, April pa lang po naglalabas na tayo daily, no, sa ating mga online ng mga babasahin para po sa ating mental health, no, wellness, no? At meron din po tayong mga letters galing po sa inyong mga anak, sa ating mga estudyante, para sa mga frontliners na distribute sa mga hospitals ng ating mga kasamahan sa DepEd or ng ating mga partners. Gumawa din po tayo ng elementary learners na teacher's guide para paano isagawa ang ang ating MHPSS para sa elementary learners at ganoon din po sa secondary learners. Kasi meron na po tayo ng mga ito noon, kaya lang ginagamit po siya kasi face-to-face. Kaya gumawa tayo ng pang-online talaga, no? At mga self-guided modules din po. And then we have conducted also, no, provisions, actual provisions po via online para sa ating teaching and non-teaching personnel. We have also capacitated, no, built capacities for elementary teachers and secondary learners. Meron po tayo linggo-linggo, buong linggo, puno po actually tayo mula pa noong Mayo ng ating mga MHPSS activities. Sa Lunes at Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, we actually have something for our learners with disabilities. Ang tawag po natin dyan, kakaibayanihan. Meron din po ang ating mga kasamahan ng Stronger from Home for the personnel. And then we have for our elementary learners, ang tinatawag nating DRRMS Buklatan. Online storytelling naman po ito. Yung pong gabay-bahay para sa parents and caregivers in general. Then we also have for our parents and teachers of learners with disabilities, tawag po natin dyan every Wednesday, Kaagapay Buhay. And then every Thursday, 4 p.m. para naman po sa ating mga secondary learners, no? Ang OKKK Tambayan. And in general, for all our personnel, every Friday, ito po ang tinatawag natin na Wellness Check Series. Ongoing pa po ang lahat ng ito hanggang sa ngayon. At syempre sa instruction po at leadership ng ating secretary, sinabi niya na before ng opening of classes ay kailangan may MHPSS tayo. Meron na po tayong pang TV broadcast, hindi na lang online. Ipapalabas po ito sa September 28 September to 2 October. Makikita nyo araw-araw iba-iba po ito. May pang personnel, may pang learners, elementary, secondary, meron ding mga learners with disabilities, at meron din pong pang parents. And on the day of, on September 28, we will do a nationwide online din po sa central office. Okay? So ito po ang ating mga ginagawa. Lagi namin sinasabi sa inyo, mahalaga po kayo. Tinatandaan po ito ng ating leadership ng Department of Education. Kaya naman sinasabi namin lagi, sana po magtulungan tayo. Apektado po tayong lahat, kaya sana ay gawin natin kung ano po ang nararapat para din sa ating mga anak, sa inyong mga anak at mga mag-aaral namin sa DepEd. So dito po gusto kong sabihin bilang pagtatapos, basta't sama-sama, kayang-kaya. Kayang-kaya po natin ito, basta't tayo po ay sama-sama. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.
Ayun, maraming salamat Director Ronnie ng DepEd Disaster Risk Reduction Management Service. Maraming salamat din kina Assistant Secretary G.H. Ambat, USEC Rev C. Escobedo at Director Abram Abanil ng ICTS. Tayo naman po ay darako na sa next part ng ating press conference, ang katanungan ng ating mga kasamahan sa media. Ang una pong magtatanong ay si Jody Agoncillo ng Philippine Daily Inquirer. Jody, go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello?
Yes, Jody, go ahead. Good afternoon. Yep.
Salamat po sa updates, ma'am, Director ko and all our ASECs po. I just have 3 questions, ma'am. Yung number 1 po is, as we all know, there is an approved, not yet approved, there is a proposed supplemental budget under Barrow 2. May I just know how will this be allocated for our other programs? Some teachers group would even say that this will only be sufficient for some 900,000 teachers when it comes to their load allowance.
Thanks, Jody. Maybe ask siguro Yusek Ann Sevilla, ma'am.
Yes, good morning, Secretary Liling, and to everyone, our DepEd family, and sa media. Sa question ni Jody, this is about the Bayanihan Act 2, and I think hindi pa rin po ito approved, nasa BICAM level. At once this is official and approved, we will receive the final provision of the Bayanihan Act 2. Right now, we were informed that about 4 billion will be given to DepEd, and we will have to coordinate with the House of Representatives, the Senate, the Department of Budget and Management. Kasi ang pinakamaganda dito sa balita na ito ay yung confirmation ng Department of Budget and Management kung magkano talaga yung ililipat nila sa atin. But for now, we are preparing kasi as we have briefed you before, talagang mayroon tayong requirements para sa ating learning continuity plan at any additional funding is really very welcome. At kami po ay uupo ulit para magawa natin na ma-prioritize kung ano po yung mga pangangailangan natin. Doon sa dati kong briefing sa inyo, sabi ko 3 ang components ng BELCP. Ang una ay yung learning resources, pangalawa yung professionalization, training ng ating mga teachers at saka preparation ng ating stakeholders. At pangatlo yung minimum health standard na in-explain kanina na napakagaling at napakaganda ng pagkakalatag sa inyo ng ating Director Ronnie. So itong 3 components na ito ang kailangan ng DepEd. Once approved na ito at may pera na, and then we will come back to you and share with you kung ano po yung ating pong pagagastusan dito, pagpaplanuhan po. Ngayon po ay nakaready kami. At so ngayon pala nagte-thank you na kami. I'm sure Secretary Liling is also feeling the same. Any additional funding is welcome to DepEd.
Director June?
Go ahead, ma'am. Apa.
Can I give additional background information? Kasi we're talking here about supplemental budget a budget which will supplement that which has been approved last year and which has been passed as law. Ngayon, the constitutional provisions, I'm not a lawyer, but all of us in government are constantly reminded the constitutional provisions on supplemental budgets is very clear na sa constitution yan. There has to be kailangan na may statement ang Treasurer of the Philippines on availability of funds. Kasi gagawa ka ng supplemental budget assuming that there are funds available. And we have had earlier experiences na may mga crisis din under previous administrations na pinagdidebatehan itong supplemental budget. At saka sa pagkakaalam ko, mayroong isang Treasurer of the Philippines na nag-resign dahil ayaw niyang mag-attest na there are funds available. So this is a constitutional provision. So itong supplemental budget will probably be debated dahil the circumstances at present are out of the ordinary. So nasa kamay yan ng Kongreso at usap-usapan nila sa executive. Pero nandyan yung provision ng Constitution. The lawyers can correct me if I am wrong. Pero ayan, the Treasurer of the Philippines has to sign an undertaking that there are funds available. Kaya-kayang mag-supplemental budget. So ang ibig ko lang sabihin, may proseso ito na siyempre ang Congress would be the very first to comply with the constitutional provisions as well as the executive. Ano lang yan? Procedural issue which I'd like to take up.
Maraming salamat, ma'am. Jody? Jody? Hi, Jody. Okay, I think may
Yes.
problem.
Ayan, unmuted na, sir. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, sir. In connection to that, some teachers and teachers group have actually asked for a bigger allocation from the Congress. They're saying that there can 30-day sick leave be possible or feasible and a free RT-PCR testing of all personnel. Would that be feasible, that proposal by some party list teachers group?
I would like to ask siguro Yusek Nepo if
for one, I think it is not feasible, neither is it a sound policy. I think you might want to look into the some lessons that was shared by UPPGH in its exercise on testing. It did try for a surveillance mechanism where it tested for its personnel, and some of the findings that it shared is one, itong testing for all is only a point in time testing, so it is only valid up to that point where it is tested. And so one question that we would like to ask them is how frequent would they want the testing to be. And then the second that they found out is yung kanilang completing the tests. Even a small organization like PGH, just to complete all of those that they tested, it took them 4 weeks of what was intended to be an every two weeks testing. And so they discontinued it, and so we need to look at these best practices, and we believe that our testing protocol that we adopted is closer to some of the best practices. Of course, among the best practices of UPPGH is that they have their own testing capacity, which is feasible for their institution as a medical institution. So that's our response. It may neither be feasible nor is it a public health sound proposal. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you for that, sir. Sir, I was told that teachers do not have sick leave, but what they have is a leave with pay, right? And if it exceeds more than 14 days, it will be deducted from their accumulated service leave credit. So these teachers are asking if it's possible to have a 30-day sick leave. Is it feasible, ma'am? What can we say to that proposal that was raised to the Senate and the Congress?
Yusek Ann, go ahead po. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Jody, I think the question should be raised to Civil Service Commission because it is the Civil Service Commission who granted the policy on the sick leave for the teachers. But nevertheless, we are already coordinating with them kasi nga iba yung situation natin. And we have to remind everyone that the basis of the sick leave of the teachers as developed or finalized by the Civil Service Commission is based on their 2-month vacation leave as well. Kasi meron po silang, sa lahat ng government employees, ang teachers lang po ang meron talagang 2 months vacation na paid po yan. Kaya po meron din pong dahilan kung bakit ang Civil Service Commission ay nagbibigay ng limit sa kanilang sick leave at vacation leave. But this is actually a question that we should raise to the Civil Service Commission kasi sila po ang ahensya na may kaalaman para sa mga human resource policies.
At saka, Director June,
Go ahead.
if I may add some information, tama yung sinabi ni Yusek Ann. The teachers have always been held as precious and important to the survival of the country and of our learners. So, mayroon silang 2 months vacation na libre. This is April and May. And since June, July, August, September, we have endeavored and the government has clearly continued all the benefits, even as we are not yet having classes, which are due to the teachers at this time. So we look forward to we look forward to further sympathy on the part of the national government. Kasi 6 months na itong which wherein not only the teachers but all employees of government have been fully compensated, even as we have been working at different schedules and so on and so forth. So we look forward to, as I said, sympathy and understanding on the part of Congress and the executive, but that is beyond us. Now, on the matter also of the request for tama si Yusek Nepo, as a former victim of COVID, I have undergone PCR several times. Kasi after a period, you are asked to do it again because for precautions. I have undergone rapid testing, PCR, etc. Kaya yung question as to how many times and yung period ng coverage and of course all the corresponding implications, administrative implications are also there. So any policy with regards to testing, and this is being vigorously debated in the IATF and also with the Department of Health, dinidiscuss na yon because government, in addition to loving the teachers, loves all Filipinos, loves all employees of government, wants to protect all those who are part of the government and rendering public service. So whatever policy they will arrive at will be for all of us who are serving the people, including, of course, our teachers and our staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Salamat, ma'am. Thank you so much, Jody from Philippine Daily Inquirer. Ang susunod na magtatanong po ay si Stanley Gahete ng Kyodo News International. Stanley, go ahead.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Stanley. Yep, go ahead. Nakamute ka ata, Stanley. Paki-unmute mo na lang. Ayun. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello. Yan. Okay. So, dun sa first issue po muna tayo. I just want to ask po for the reaction ng DepEd po if we want to adopt yung pinopropose ng ACT on the implementation of pass or fail na evaluation for students this school year in case. And will it be helpful for in case if we will try this kind of assessment in the basic education even after pandemic, for example?
Thank you so much.
I may comment immediately.
Yeah, go ahead, Pa.
Sorry, I'm misbehaving. I'm supposed to shut up. I told myself. But this is a very crucial issue for an institution which is engaged in an academic function. When the first announcement about the national pandemic was declared as early, was it March? Dinebate na ito because one of the leading mayors already suggested pass or fail na. And this debate still continues. Now, insofar as DepEd is concerned, pass or fail, we are aware sa learning management systems, even in the private schools, may mga strategies na na-develop which enables the teacher and the institution to assess the student, the performance of the student. It's not as if we are totally, absolutely bereft of ways by which we can assess the performance of teachers. We did it at the close of this academic school year. We issued a series of circulars giving instructions on how to assess in the absence kasi walang final exams yung sa senior high school. And as I said, private schools have been doing these methods sa learning management systems nila. And our own curriculum group nandito, sorry dads, inunahan kita, pero very, this is a topic which, as an academician, which I like and enjoy very much, this matter of pass or fail. What will be the impact, for example, on the high-performing students and schools? During the PISA examination, we were all excoriating and screaming at the top of our voices, why are we at the bottom of the barrel? And we kept on ignoring the fact that we have 20 schools all over the country whose PISA scores are higher than even the scores of the rich countries, the OECD, the donor countries, higher than as a group, the average, for example. For example, Pasay City Science High School. For example, Region 6. For example, Baguio. You have 20 schools which are very high performing. And so what would be the effect on this, the drive and the push for excellence on this? And what will be the effect overall? So isipin natin yan because even as we want to make everything comfortable, safe, and loving, and great for our learners and for our teachers, we also want them to achieve the learning objectives which we have set for ourselves, especially the expectations of better performance, not only for national assessments, but international assessments at all. Maybe we should focus on these 20 schools and ask ourselves, ito yung sinasabi ko, what is in Pasig, what is in Baguio, what is in Iloilo, what is in Negros, what is in Bicol, for example, na very high ang scores nila, mas mataas pa kaysa OECD. even as we notice those who are at the bottom of the list. So may implications ito. And it's not, as I said, we are bereft of methodologies to determine and to assess the performance of students. Pero Dads, inunahan na kita. Ikaw na. Carry on.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Nakikialam na naman ako. You rolled me out of order, John.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Liling. Good afternoon po, everyone. In addition to what Ma'am Liling has mentioned, the curriculum and instruction strand has consulted the field offices, and even a group was consulted also by the office of USEC NEPO through a focus group, and it was also agreed that we should keep the grading system. In addition to what was mentioned, importante din pong maunawaan natin na if we will do a non-graded system for reporting the progress of our learners, it will also mean additional work for our fellow teachers, which we do not like to impose at this moment. Kasi po, mag-aaral na naman sila ng panibagong sistema. Kahit po letter grades yan or pass or fail, gagamit pa rin sila ng mga, mag-a-add pa rin niya ng mga performance ng bata. So, gusto po nating maiwasan yung mga dagdag na aaralin pa ng mga kasama nating guro. Maliban po dyan, the other reason is, sa mga colleges and universities, yung mga kukuhaning scholars pagdating ng susunod ng pasukan, anong basehan? Kami rin po sa special curricular programs, mayroon kami mga grade requirements na dapat nandun yung bata. So ano pong magiging basehan natin? So ito pong mga to ay ang dahilan kung bakit nakikita natin na ang numerical rating ay mas angkop kahit mayroon po tayong COVID-19. Kasi kailangan mabigyan din talaga ng motibasyon ang mga bata para sila ay mas maging interesadong mag-aral. Salamat po.
Okay po. Next question po. If everything became okay, for example, in the coming years po, will we return to same school year, for example, June to March scenario, or will we consider these changes as probably permanent for all adjustments that we're doing right now?
Kanino mo i-address yung question, Stanley? Kay Secretary or kay USEC Dan? Stanley?
Kay USEC po.
Okay. Alright. Thank you.
Ang proposal po namin, kasi matagal na rin yung pinag-uusapan, yung summer vacation, mas angkop na during the hottest time of the year, wala pong pasok. Kasi yung mga classrooms natin hindi naman nakadesign sa ganitong klaseng sistema. Kaya po, ang pinag-uusapan ay yung pinakamabilis na makakabalik tayo sa June to March na school year. Absolutely hindi pa yan mangyayari sa next year kasi matatapos tayo next year, June pa. Ang mga pinag-uusapan namin ngayon, gaano katagal yung break bago pumasok yung susunod na school year. Wala pa hong final na nadidesisyonan pero may mga tentative proposals na kami na baka 2 weeks lang yung break natin. Kasi nga election time naman yung 2022, baka maipit ulit yung pasukan, masasakripisyo na naman ang pag-aaral ng mga bata.
Okay. So, second to the last po, there are some schools po na nakukuha namin, nagagather namin na data that asking for students po ng payment for printing modules like 500 pesos to 1,000 per quarter. Are we allowing this po and are we aware of this and how can we address this po, sir?
Sa akin din, wala pa. First time ko yung marinig, ang alam lang namin may mga nangihingi ng donations pero yung hihingi, that should not be in the public schools. Kasi hindi kami nagsasabi ever na ang public schools ay magpapabayad sa self-learning modules. So kung may detalye ka, pwedeng masubmit para matawag namin ang pansin ng concerned public school if that is a public school.
Sige po, sir. And then last question po, there's also a certain research, previous research pro ng Singapore sa Association of Southeast Asian Nations, yung cases po ng malnutrition tumataas especially during the pandemic po. I'd just like to ask po if ano po yung pwedeng gawing effort din ng DepEd to continuously monitor po yung health ng mga learners sa primary and secondary para hindi tayo maiwanan in case po sa malnutrition? And what are we doing po? Paano po natin ma-assess ngayon na medyo ito nga po, home-based po lahat tayo ng activities ngayon?
Stanley, you're addressing your question to the Secretary or?
Pwede po kay Sec po. Okay po. Kasi medyo ASEAN ano po.
All right, sige. Thank you.
Ako, salamat naman Stanley. Pinasali mo ako.
Yes ma'am, thank you.
Anyway, yung matter of nutrition, even before, months before, mga isang buwan pa lang, nag-hearing na ang Senate dyan at saka bringing up na yung issue ni Senator Grace Poe, yung nutrition ng mga bata. And we have always been lobbying for an increase in the funding for school feeding. Sabi nila, paano na yung school feeding program kung ang mga bata hindi naman pumapasok? Ang sagot namin at that time, at saka medyo natuwa naman si Senator Poe, makikipag-coordinate kami sa National Nutrition Council. Kasi sa lahat ng mga local governments, mayroon namang National Nutrition Council equivalent. Sila ang nagbabantay at saka local governments are also engaged in feeding programs. So, makakatulong sila pag di-deliver, halimbawa, yung mga packed foods para sa mga bata of school age sa kanilang barangay. Again, isipin natin ito, naku, imposible, how many thousand barangays? But if you go down to the barangay level, magagawa nila ito. And as a matter of fact, many local governments are already doing this na hindi na ako magsasite, baka sasabihin na mayroon akong pinopromote ng mga local governments. But I know that nag-distribute sila ng food packs para sa mga bata. At saka yung sa atin, we can work out schemes as well kasi may kunti naman tayong budget allocation for this na gusto sana nating dagdagan. Pero ito, mag-cooperate na talaga. Ang gandang, if there is any good thing that has emerged from this crisis is that local governments and the DepEd are working even closer together. Not only in the procurement of gadgets, it's decisions about safety, the use of school buildings, etc., but also in attending to the nutrition of the children. At saka tama naman yung sinabi mo na it's not only in the Philippines, pero I think globally, may impact talaga itong pandemic on the nutritional status of the children. Mayroon namang cases ng obesity, di ba? Na kasi mayroong isang mother nag-complaint na halos ilang pounds na ang nag-gain ng anak niya. Kaya gusto na niyang mag-umpisa ng klase para ma-engage naman yung anak niya sa ibang bagay other than feeding himself or herself. No? So, yun. We are working and we will work with the local governments. Local governments are doing part of it already. And we will work also with the National Nutrition Council, which has its equivalents in the local governments. Bantayan namin kasi we are, of course, interested in keeping our children healthy. One reason why we want education to continue is also to assure the safety and the nutritional status of our learners. Thank you.
Thank you po, Sec. Salamat.
Thank you so much, Stanley. That's Stanley from Kyoto News Agency. Ang susunod na magtatanong ay si Joel Francisco ng RMN Iloilo. Joel, go ahead.
Yes, kay Director, kay Secretary Briones, sir. So isa sa mga concern ng Iloilo City ngayon is that yung ginagamit nila ng mga quarantine facilities ay yung mga classrooms. And some of the principals are telling our LGU to vacate the classroom. Meron bang ganong instruction ng DepEd National sa local?
Pam, go ahead pa. Pakirepeat yung question. Ms. Joel.
Yes, sir. Narinig ba ako, sir?
Yep, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. Dito sa Iloilo, yung mga classrooms ginagamit na quarantine facility for the COVID, for the LSIs and the returning OFWs. Now, there are some instructions from the principals na dapat i-vacate na daw ng LGU yung mga classrooms dito na ginagamit. So, meron bang instruction from the national to do the same?
Ma'am.
Kanina yan. Ang usapan namin, alam naman natin mayroong batas. Maliwanag ang batas, nagsasabi na ang classrooms ay dapat gamitin for academic purposes at pinagbabawal yung paggagamit for purposes other than academic except in cases of extreme emergency at kung wala na talagang ibang available space. Pero dahil sa magnitude ng pandemic, alam mo naman Joel na ito mahabang debate ito sa City of Iloilo. Ang usapan at the national level is dahil nga may epekto ito ng maraming pagdating ng mga kapwa Pilipino natin na nagkaroon ng COVID-19 pero meron kaming sinasuggest din na certain conditions. Halimbawa, una, yung mga school buildings na malapit sa mga urban centers na maraming tao, maraming bahay, siguro dapat i-avoid yan. Pangalawa, kailangan mayroon tayong ready supply of water, things like that. Mayroon tayong ready stock of medicines for emergency purposes. That is from our point of view. Pero usapan namin sa pang-national na nag-agree kami na gagamitin ang aming mga school buildings. Pero yun nga lang, subject to the minimum health standards of the Department of Health. Kasi kung gagamitin ang mga school buildings natin for quarantine or for lalo na sa mga as isolation rooms, one room yan per patient, separate bathroom yan and toilet yan for per patient for the isolation ward. So nasa Department of Health na yan. Sabi namin ang Department of Health ang mag-impose ng mga standards at sila usapan namin yung marangal na hindi pwede, kailangan pumayag ang Department of Health, kailangan i-approve ng Department of Health ang paggamit ng isang classroom. Dahil hindi naman lahat na classrooms appropriate for isolation, lalo na yung isolation at saka quarantine. Kaya ang decisive dito agency will really be the Department of Health. Ang nakikipag-usap sa akin personal, talagang nag-usap kami ng husto, ay mismo si Secretary Duque. Pero sabi ko, kailangan masunod yung inyong standards. Kasi kami, our space will be available, but we don't have the competence to look after the patients and take care of them in case of emergency. At saka yung isolation, at least every how many hours, I know because I have undergone 4 weeks of isolation even as I was working. How many times a day yung vital signs mo babantayan. So mas malaki ang mga tanong, karamihan sa mga tanong nasa desisyon ng Department of Health. We have instances, Joel, nang mismo ang Provincial Health Officer hindi pumapayag. Pag makita nila ang lugar, sinabi nila na hindi ito pwede dahil we cannot function kung sila hindi makafunction. Dahil ini-inspect yan araw-araw at the very least 3 times a day yan kung isolation. So, usapan ng Department of Health. And of course also the DILG. And DILG in principle supports of course the the local governments, particularly yung sa Iloilo. We know binisita na sila, pumunta si Secretary Galvez, pumunta si Secretary Anyo. So ayun, maliwanag na yun na in principle, pumapayag kami, pero ang desisyon, ang pagpili, ang pag-supply, mag-ensure ng safety ng pasyente, nasa Department of Health. Kasi gusto ng Department of Health separate talaga yung mga isolation wards. Gusto niya may mga dividers, etc., whatever. At saka kanya-kanyang CR dapat yun. At otherwise, baka mag-spread tayo lalo ng epidemic. So ayun, yun ang sitwasyon. In principle, payag kami basta pumasa sa Department of Health. At saka we know of instances na mismong Department of Health, hindi sila masyadong sigurado na safe yung ating mga schools o appropriate yung ating mga schools. Social distancing, kailangan ma-maintain yan. Kailangan constant yung supply ng tubig. Kailangan malapit hopefully sa isang facility just in case may emergency. Yun ang sinasuggest namin. Sa aming side yan. Pero ang Department of Health, bottom line, sila ang mag-decide yan.
Last question from my end, Secretary. What will happen sa mga schools na ginagawang quarantine facility beyond October 5 na magbubukas ng klase?
Ang siling namon, nga kung ang isa ka eskwelahan gamiton, kaghimoon iyang quarantine o mamili ang local government. Hindi gid kami matugot nga we will be holding also classes or offices in a school where there is a quarantine facility. But that is a decision also, of course, of the local government, because our teachers are going to visit the schools, they have their records, and our teachers also like to work. Mayroon talagang personalities na they want to have an environment, a work environment. Like ako, I have to be in an office to be able to function better. So mayroong ganong situation. Our teachers will be visiting the school. So pag isang eskwelahan o isang building gagamitin ay talagang the school itself will be isolated and cannot be made available for any other purpose. Yun ang sabi namin. Lalo na kung halimbawa next year, kung sa awa ng Diyos, tayo ay mag-face to face na kita next year. Kaya may vaksina, hopefully, etc., etc. Ay, hindi mo pwedeng isabay ang face to face at saka ang quarantine facility. The local government, of course, has to choose. Unless there are other facilities. Kasi sabi naman ng Department of Health, humahabol sila. I believe in Iloilo, and I have been to Iloilo several times because alam mo, I don't know if you were the one who interviewed me about the state of Iloilo. I'm very concerned, interested in Iloilo because Region 6 is a very high-performing region sa academics. Sa PISA, very high-performing na sila sa mathematics, sa science, and even in culture. And you know that yourself. So we want to maintain that kind of standard for Region 6, as we also want to maintain Pasig, we want to maintain 20 other schools, mayroon sa Laguna, and so on, na hindi naman natin sila mako-compromise. Kung gagamitin for quarantine, quarantine lang talaga. Oo, hindi na natin gagalawin at i-expose ang ating mga bata. Siguro mahaba ang ako niyang answer, pero gakaintindihay man kami yan ni Mayor, kabaluman siya sa ako niyang posisyon. Ang bottom line ko is to maintain the high standard of Region 6. For whatever happens, no, because Region 6 is second to Pasig. And if you have a region which defeats other countries richer or more better equipped, then That is the first thing that you have in mind. So on this debate of pass or fail, probably for the 20 high-performing students, that might not be advisable. 20 high-performing schools, because they're really very high. They're really doing very, very well. Tapos sabihin niyo, bahala na kayo and relax na kayo. Then we are not serving education and our learners. Regards na lang yan kay Mayor.
Abot Secretary. Maraming salamat. Madamo gid salamat.
Madamo gid nga salamat.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And maraming salamat, Joel Francisco ng RMN Iloilo. Ang next na tanong, ma'am, ay si Ken Cabaltera ng Bicol Idol Radio Station. Ken, go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, Secretary.
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, Secretary, siguro po ididiretso ko na po sa inyo yung katanungan mula po dito sa aming rehiyon, sa Bicol. Secretary, with this mga nangyayari, ito po dahil po dito sa mga nangyayari sa atin, mga delay po sa pagsisimula ng klase, hindi pa po ito magiging batayan ng Department of Education para po sundan yung ipinatupad na pagpapasimula ng klase ng mga private schools. Dito po kasi sa Bicol region may mga private schools na and mga state universities na nagsimula po yung klase August na. Hindi pa po ba ito maging batayan ng DepEd para po yung pagsisimula talaga ng mga klase sa mga public school ay gawin na rin pong August? Secretary?
Ang desisyon ng mga private schools, maaga pa, as early as April, May, June, nag-decide na sila. Kaya may mga schools as early as June, private schools, na nag-umpisa na. May mga schools tayo na bahagi ng state universities and colleges, mga schools which are set by local universities and colleges. And Commission on Higher Education has come out with a statement that they are not covered by the law, which says that classes should begin in the last month, the last day of August, etc., etc. Now, bakit hindi kami susunod sa private school? Dahil nagsabi ng presidente na October 5 mag-umpisa. Pero yung nakakasana, nandyan na, palagay ko hindi naman tama na sabihin mo, tumigil kayo dyan, maghintay kayo hanggang October 5. Dahil nakaumpisa na sila, nakakasana sila. At ang importante lang na kondisyon, walang face-to-face. Kailangan lahat online para masunod natin ang payo ng presidente at desisyon ng presidente. Kasi may bago kasi tayong batas na ipinasa ng Kongreso at saka ng Senado na nagsasabi na ang president ang mag-decide ng opening ng classes. Kaya when the Office of the Executive Secretary announced the decision of the president, nagkaroon kami ng joint pahabol sa Office ng Executive Secretary at saka sa amin na sinabi namin na yung nakaumpisa na, hindi sila pipigilan kasi nandiyan na eh. Oo. Pero that does not mean na kami sa public sector, susunod din kami kasi very clear naman ang decision ng President. At somewhere magkakahabulan din dahil palagi namang nag-uusap ang private schools at saka ang public schools.
Okay.
We try to be as fair and as open as we can. Ang bottom line natin dito, in everything that DepEd does, the bottom line is the learner. Ayaw nating maiwan ang learner. Dahil tayo sa buong Southeast Asia will be the last to open.
Secretary,
to the other countries, yes.
Okay. Secretary, what I mean po is yung magiging batayan na itong pandemya, itong nangyayaring delay ng pagbubukas po ng classes, maging taon-taon na po, maging August yung pagsisimula ng mga school opening po para sa mga public schools.
Hindi natin yan masabi dahil halimbawa yung panahon natin ng eleksyon ay May by 2020, next year, yun ang concern namin. By next year, ang academic school year ngayon, naabot ng June, di ba?
Opo.
Bilang natin to obey also the law about the minimum number of days for school for our children. So maabutan tayo ng may election frenzy na by next year. Hindi na tayo magiging flavor of the month kasi busy na lahat na tao sa election. Ngayon, flavor of the month ang education, but we believe that by next year iba na yung iniisip ng ating mga citizens. And if we do that as a regular, I think may wisdom naman ang ating founder fathers and mothers kung bakit ganitong mga dates ang pinili nila. Masabi lang natin na as of this time, yun ang sabi ng Presidente, October 5. But sabi nga niya, kung makakita tayo ng ways na makokontrol natin, marireduce natin ang COVID, then perhaps in his wisdom, he will make the appropriate adjustments. Because I also pointed out na next year, medyo may kakompetensya na sa magiging flavor of the month ang education. That will be the elections. It will shape many policy options and decisions. Diba?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Ken. Ken is from Bicol Idol Radio Station, ma'am. Susunod na magtatanong ay si Lita Kadalig po ng Baguio, Midland, Korea. Lita? Go ahead. Lita Kadalig. Manang Lita ng Baguio, Midland. Go ahead pa. All right, I think we're having some connection problems. Let's proceed po sa susunod na magtatanong. Si Bons Magsambol ng Rappler, ma'am. Bons?
Hello po. Good morning.
Hi.
Hello po, good morning.
Good afternoon.
Out of order na ako, sabi ni John. Out of order na ako, sabi ni John.
For ano po kay Yusek Rev C. Escobedo, for this question, is he around pa po?
Yes, I'm here.
Apo. Ayun sir, nabanggit niyo po kanina dun sa presentation nyo na 4 out of 214 SEOs are lagging behind printing of the self-learning module. Sir, can you give us why or the reason bakit po sila naiiwan sa pag-print?
Yung yung apat na yon ay una, yung challenges dun sa printing of distribution, yung printing of our modules, yung kakulangan of course dun sa budget and funding. And of course, yung iba may dinaranas na yung lack of supply of the materials, yung papel na gagamitin. Kasi may mga lugar na nagkakaubusan ng papel o mahirap yung supply ng papel. So yung dalawang bagay na yon ang nakaka-apekto dun sa mabilis na printing of self-learning modules.
Okay. So sir, just to clarify, in total, the Philippines has 214 SDOs. Tama po ba?
221?
214, sir?
221.
221. Okay. Yeah. Okay, sir. So ayun sir, so ano po yung ginagawa na steps ng Department of Education to address these two issues that you mentioned on the lack of budget as well as the limited supply of bond papers?
Yeah, oo. Gaya ng ginawa ng ibang mga schools division offices and regional offices, patuloy yung pagsasagawa nila ng yung sa brigada eskwela na ini-engage yung mga private sector na tumulong sa pangangailangan ng ating mga schools for the learning continuity plan. And second, ang aming procurement office ay nakikipag-ugnayan na rin sa National Printing Office and isa pang government printing office para matulungan yung aming mga division offices. And tumutulong yung central office din sa pamumuno ni ASEC Salvador Malana kung paano mapabilis, for example, itatap yung ibang mga yung NPO saan pwede talaga kumuha ng supply ng papel, and of course tinutulungan din sila sa issues ng procurement.
Okay po, sir. Thank you po, sir. Okay, for my next question naman po kay Yusik Ann.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
Hello po, Yusik Ann. Ayun.
Hi.
Apo, Yusik Ann, we talked about po over the weekend yung a total of 65 billion na needed the supplemental budget for the implementation of the BELCT. Ayun po, I just want to clarify lang po, have we identified the funding source for this po?
If I may share lang po yung slides para mas malinaw din, if you will allow me, Director June. Yes, para kasi baka may iba pa rin questions yung ating mga kasama. Okay.
Can we share the...
Kasi very important yung question ni Bones, and I think paulit-ulit din na tinatanong ng iba, and we have about 9.5 audience now, and marami sa ating mga kapamilya sa DepEd ang nagtatanong din about the budget. Sige, ito po yon. Sige, go ahead. Yung financial natin, situation or the status, I will always say that we have the ideal scenario and the conservative scenario. Ideal scenario is that everything is there and we do not have any problem. Lahat, lang resources, hindi lang financial. Pati yung capacity at saka yung time, capacity of the human resource, and the time for us to produce all the things that we need for an ideal blended learning. The other one is a conservative scenario. Ibig sabihin, may mga factors na limited talaga. Unang-una, ang financial. Pangalawa, yung time to do it. And of course, yung preparedness din ng ating mga teachers na teaching, the parents and the stakeholders as well. Kasi ang isang blended learning approach ay hindi lamang responsibility ng gobyerno, kung hindi pati rin ng mga mag-aaral natin, mga magulang at yung community. So with this scenario, nandun tayo sa conservative. Sige, yung susunod, Jansen. Yan. Kapag ka-ideal scenario ang ating gagawin, we will need 433 billion pesos. And if we will do the conservative, it is 105 billion. But in the conservative, we also included the laptop for teachers. And this is 27 billion. So kung tatanggalin niyo po dyan yung sa laptop, yun nga yung hindi namin na-provide because we do not have enough funds for that, ay mababawasan din. And I said earlier also, tatlo yung main components ng ating financing. Una, yung mga technology, learning resources, at saka yung mga strategies natin. Pangalawa, yung preparedness ng ating human resource. At pangatlo, very important because we are also promoting and protecting the safety and health of our constituents, napaka-importante rin. So yan yung breakdown. Just for a review. Ito yung ating na-compute at that time. Sige. Yung susunod, now that we have the 105 billion requirement, nag-review tayo at nagkaroon tayo ng strategy. Paano ba natin magagawa na magkaroon ng ganitong funding requirement na 105 billion, including the laptop and the communication needs of our teachers. And when we reviewed our strategy, ay 5 po ang lumalabas na pwede natin gawin. Una, nag-realign tayo ng mga budget. Pangalawa, yung paggamit ng eskwelahan ng kanilang mga budget. Nasa kanila na kasi ito, ay atin pong bibigyan sila ng guide. Pangatlo at pinaka-importante rin yung support ng local government unit through the SEF. Pang-apat, yung ating partnership with our external partners like yung sa bayanihan o yung brigada sa brigada eskwela. At pang-5 yung supplemental budget. So dito pumapasok yung tanong ni Bones kanina at napaka-importante dahil related din sa Bayanihan Act yung kailangan natin. Sige, yung susunod will give you the figures. Sige, yan. Nag-realign na tayo, nag-revise na rin tayo ng school MOE. Na-explain na natin to in the last press con. Sige. And then, paggamit ng MOE ng eskwelahan ay pina-ano na rin natin, pina-allow natin or pina-authorize na natin silang gamitin ito para doon sa 3 components ng ating BELCP. So they have their budget with them. At yung pong number 1 and number 2 ay dinownload natin lately. Kaya po meron silang additional funding na available. Sige, yung susunod. At yung external sources, continuing po yan hanggang end of August ay meron tayong Brigada Eskwela. At yung ating mga partners na hindi lang po sa local government units, pati ang iba pang mga ahensya ng gobyerno, katulad ng PCOO, ng NTC, at ng iba pa pong mga ahensya ng gobyerno na tumutulong sa atin. Sige. Yung susunod, yan. I think this is the one that I want to explain kasi kanina sinabi ni Bonds na 65 billion ang kulang. Sa 105 billion, nakapag-identify kami ng 40 billion. At yung 40 billion na yon ay nanggaling sa realignment namin. No? So ginawa na namin ang mga prioritization at realignment. This is 28.6 billion. Yung kung gagamitin po ang MOE, at ito ay conservative din ang estimate ko, 30% lang ng MOE kung gagamitin ay 7.2 billion or 7.3 billion rounded off. Pero kung gagamitin nila ay more than 30%, mas lalaki pa yan. Hindi namin yan makukuha ngayon kasi ongoing ang BELCP natin, but yung monitoring natin is will give us accurate data and accurate reporting of the funds kapag po natapos na natin at pag-kick in ng pagbukas ng eskwela natin. Yung SEF, nag-conservative estimate din kami, 30% lang ng mga special education fund, kung ibibigay po yan or i-align sa BELCP, it will be about 3 billion. But we all know, kagaya ng announcement ni Secretary kanina, Manila lang ay nagbibigay ng gadget for the teachers and the students. And kung makukuha natin yung report ng bawat local government unit, I'm sure na mas malaki pa yan sa 3 billion. And yung ating Brigada Eskwela, based on the report of our USEC Tony Umali last week, ay nag-estimate din tayo ng about 1 billion. So, ang kailangan natin, 65 billion na supplemental. But we all know that supplemental budget, as explained by the Secretary, will require additional resources as well. Kaya po, nag-calibrate na tayo. Yung susunod na slide will tell us na nagbigay na tayo ng 9 billion sa ating mga regions, divisions at eskwelahan. So madadagdagan po yung kanilang mga pondo at yun po yung gagamitin nila para sa printing ng kanilang mga self-learning modules. At kung kasama na rin po dyan yung delivery at saka retrieval ng ating mga modules. At may mga pondo po tayo ngayon na nandito pa sa central office. Makikita nyo dyan, yung 500 million will be for the minimum health standard. Yung pong in-explain ni Director Ronnie kanina, ay mag-i-issue kami ng additional funds to our schools in preparation for the school opening para po magawa yung mga preliminary and yung protection and prevention measures natin. So yun po yung pondo nakalagay dyan. At yung susunod, Jansen, ay nag-issue na rin ng mga modification or ayan, yan po yung use ng ating dinownload na funds. Department Order number 18 at dapat po alam ng ating mga teachers, lalo na kasi yung tanong bakit walang pondo, ay may pondo. At yan po yung paggagamitan, siguro parating sa kanila at saka yung pong pagbigay ng communication ay hindi pa po nakakarating sa mga kinakaukulan, pero meron po tayong ginawa na department order at yung mga pondo para sa lahat ng mga supplies at iba pang mga learning modalities ay magagawa na po nila yan. Yung susunod, ito po, sabi natin may 65 billion na supplemental at hindi nga natin to nakuha. At hindi rin siya makakamit within the year. So kailangan po nating magawa ng mga adjustments. At yung mga adjustments na yan ay na-issue na rin through policy covers. Importante itong mga department memo, department orders kasi yan po yung guide nila para po magkaroon ng iba tayong adjustment na magagawa pa. Yung mga textbook po natin gagamitin at iba pang mga locally developed learning resources gagamitin po natin. Makikipag-partner tayo sa mga local government units, NTC, PCOO at prioritize po natin kung ano talaga yung kailangan para po pagkasya natin at maayos natin to using our financial strategy. Sige, Jansen. Wala na yata. So yung 65 billion bonds is actually now being considered in our 2021 funding proposal. Kasi po, I think the DBM will submit the 2021 budget to Congress. At syempre, isa-slide na po natin. Yung mga kailangan natin ngayon will be appropriated next year. At ito po, pinapakita natin dito yung proposal namin versus doon sa NEP or National Expenditure Program na isasubmit ng DBM sa Congress. So we are in the next phase of the budget process kasi makukulang na rin yung time dahil September na by the next days at yung validity ng budget din natin ay magiging limited. So tayo po ay gumagalaw sa 2020 budget and the 2021 budget. Sige po ma'am, natinig ko si Ma'am Liling. Maraming salamat.
Gusto ko lang mag-clarify ulit ng konsepto ng supplemental budget. Kasi ang supplemental budget, ano yan, ang konsepto ng supplemental budget, pangkabuuan yan para sa buong bansa. Yun ang sinasabi ko na mayroong constitutional requirements yan. Kung halimbawa, ang budget natin ngayon for the school for the fiscal year 2020 ay dagdagan natin yan dahil mayroon na tayong budget na naipasa last year pa for 2020. Yun, mangangailangan ng supplemental budget. Itong supplemental budget na sinasabi natin dito sa DepEd, yung budget na pandagdag sa DepEd budget. Kasi kitang-kita na yung budget na binigay sa atin for 2020, kukulangin talaga. This is for DepEd. Ako, I am not aware yet kung mayroong desisyon o mayroong proposal na may pangkalahatang supplemental budget. Kailangan liwanagin yan dahil baka mag-i-expect tayo na mag-pass ng supplemental budget, dagdagan ang budget, national budget for this year, dagdagan, kasi mayroon yang napakahabang proseso yan at saka kailangan may certification yan. Itong ating hinihingi na pandagdag sana sa ating sariling budget ay ating hinihingi, pinopropose natin sa DBM. Tapos ang sabi ng DBM, talagang scraping the bottom of the barrel na sila para sa DepEd. Talagang sinasagad na nila at yun ay hindi nila tayo mapagbigyan dyan. Kaya i-request natin yan for next year. Gusto ko lang yung liwanagan dahil baka we might be thinking na may supplemental budget para sa buong bansa. I'm not aware unless by decision ang executive side na i-consider ng ating Kongreso dahil komplikadong proseso yan at na-discuss din namin yan with the DBM Secretary. So I hope and you don't mind the clarification.
Yes, of course ma'am. Very, very clear po. Thank you po.
Okay. Yusek, and just one
maraming salamat, Bons. Or may question ka pa? Go ahead.
Follow up lang po. So, with regards po dun sa sinabi ni Secretary Briones na yung 65 billion na supplementary budget na pinropose sa DBM is parang hindi nila kayang maibigay ngayon and then sa susunod na fiscal year na siya, do we have enough budget po ba to continue to start this school year given na we still have a lot of may mga modules pa rin na hindi napiprint until now?
Yeah, Bonds, doon sa slide na pinakita ko, we made the adjustments. We made the adjustments in terms of the requirements. Sabi nga natin, from the ideal, we went to the conservative and now we're going to the adjusted modality. So meron naman pong paraan. So kahit hindi tayo mabibigyan ng 65 billion na additional funding, ay matutuloy po natin to kasi mismong ang curriculum and instruction has issued the policy cover and the guidelines para po hindi nga maging isang hindrance ito sa pagpapatuloy natin. Lagi pong ganun kasi, meron tayong gustong gawin ideally, pero kapag may mga factors na dumarating, kailangan talaga mag-a-adjust tayo. And we have calibrated this, meaning may assessment naman kami, and in our assessment, it is still doable. It is just that hindi nga po yung pinakamaganda na paraan. For example, yung sinasabi natin na yung ready kaagad dahil meron tayong time to do it and that the resources are also financially supported. But there is a way, and I have shown you the adjustments that we have made, both the curriculum, also in setting up sabihin, yung prioritization will happen at the ground. Just contextualize needs nila.
Okay po, thank you po, Yusek Ann.
Salamat.
Alright, maraming salamat, Bons. Thank you so much, ma'am. Alright. Checking po may mga hindi naka-unmute. Alright. Ang susunod na magtatanong ay si Jasmine Romero ng ABS-CBN. Jasmine?
Ganda po sa inyo at lalo na po kay Terry.
Afternoon.
Yung question ko ay directed towards director ko tungkol ito sa mga COVID cases. Director ko, nandyan po ba kayo?
Direk Ronnie? Ayun, she's here.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon.
Director, doon po sa more than 800 cases, COVID cases na naitala ng DepEd, ilan po dito ang masasabi nating work-related? Meron na po tayong mga na-trace kung sino po dito ang nakakuha dahil nag-distribute ng module o pumasok ng eskwelahan. Ano na rin po yung mangyayari sa mga teachers na positive? Sila rin po ba ay papapasukin or talaga antayin yung time na pagkakumare na sila po ay nasabi ng COVID negative, sila po ba ay papabayaan pa rin mag-field or work from home na talaga?
Sige. Siguro yung sa una kasi tingin ko ito nga yung yung bumabagabag sa mga tao. Yung datos natin kasi kanina as of today, okay? Pero yung as of yesterday na 797 kasi 800 plus yung kanina, no? Kasi ito ang basis ng analysis namin. But we'll give you a sense, okay? Yung 22 August namin, no, na 797 ang total cases pa lang. Ang 254 na doon ay sinasabi na sa tracing natin ay nanggagaling actually sa contact with relatives yan sa loob ng bahay mismo, pamilya and relatives. And then more than 112 actually galing sa labas, no, friends, visitors, tapos meron ding numbers na galing naman sa sa pagpunta sa mga bangko, sa market, yung ganyan. Ang lumalabas actually sa kabuuan ng 797, if I were to base yung sa analysis namin na data lang kahapon, ay actually meron ng 14 all over na to sa buong Pilipinas, excluding lang yung central office natin, na actually nakuha siya sa workplace. Okay? So, 6 yung teaching, 8 yung non-teaching. So, ganun. So, para makita nyo lang yung perspective.
Director, pwede pong paulit lang. Opo.
Hindi po siya,
Director, sorry po, Director, naging choppy lang po yung part na sinabi niyo po yung figures. Ilan po ulit yung sinasabi niyong na nakuha sa trabaho?
Yung lang sa trabaho lang out of 797 na August 22 na figures para lang malinaw tayo. Okay? 14 lang actually. So buong Pilipinas na to. 6 yung teaching, 8 yung non-teaching. Merong portion na merong portion din sa analysis na ginawa ng aming mga kasamahan sa School Health Division na meron kasi mga hindi ma-trace, hindi alam kung saan nakuha yung exposure. Nonetheless, titignan mo yung kabuuan ng numbers, actually nanggagaling yan sa pamilya, sa mga relatives na confirm din. Okay? Yung iba ay marami din, no? Ang nanggaling sa mga friends, mga visitors, at saka yung sa labas talaga ng bahay. Hindi po siya primarily sa workplace. So kailangan po maging klaro lang ito, no? Para malagay natin sa perspective, tamang perspective yung ating numbers. And of course, yun sa mga tanong mo na unless sa guidelines naman, basta ikaw ay naka-quarantine period at hindi ka naman pwedeng pumasok pag under quarantine at lahat, di ba? Kung ikaw ay cleared na at lahat, you can. Hindi naman yun pinagbabawal na ikaw ay pwedeng pumasok. But if you are not, wala namang if you are not comfortable with it, na gusto mong mag-work from home at lahat, may mga arrangements naman. Kung immunocompromised, hindi nga natin pinapapasok at lahat yung mga immunocompromised, no? So, yun ang ating ano dito. Yun ang ating ano naman sa mga protocols natin. Okay?
June, hindi ako
Meron po akong second
makaresist.
question.
Ayan si Ma'am.
June, hindi ako makaresist.
Yeah, sige ma'am, go ahead po.
Yung experience ko, di ba, I was diagnosed as COVID positive. Immediately, nag-contact tracing kami. Sa yun lang may direct contact sa akin, more than 30. Plus the immediate members of my family, my husband, my son, health person, 4 sila. Nag-isolation sila lahat. And ako naglanding ako sa Batangas, yung karamihan doon sa Marikina, very kind. Ang mayor inallow niya na gamitin namin ang NEA facilities natin. Tapos, in-isolate sila. Alam mo siguro, that's 35 to 40 people kasi drivers, lahat-lahat talagang very thorough. More than 40 people, not a single one of them was positive. So ang ibig sabihin, hindi ko yan nakuha sa DepEd. Although palagi akong nasa DepEd. So na-trace namin yan sa ibang lugar. Kasi may kasabay naman ako at that time na parehang lugar ang pinuntahan namin. Not a single one of them. Halos 45 to 50 people na in-isolate, ginastosan, pinakain, hinaw, separate rooms yan, separate bedrooms. Kailangan may TV, kailangan may ICT facilities and so on and so forth. Ginawa namin yan, not a single one of them nagiging positive. So hindi yon galing sa DepEd. Maski na nakikidil ako, ang kadil ko lang palagi, pinaka face to face ko ay karamihan ay taga DepEd. Except for another office, and you can guess what office it is na pinuntahan ko just at the time that I was diagnosed. Na-realize namin yan dahil mayroong nakasabay sa akin. So doon, makikita natin na also we have to bear in mind that there are over 1,000 employees in the central office alone. At right now, we have one confirmed case. Isang challenge kasi ito, Yasmin, Yasmin ang tawag ko, very Arab. Isang challenge ito sa not only to DepEd but to all agencies of government, itong contact tracing. Kasi kung hindi complete ang information na binibigay, hindi mo matitrace. Mayroong walang phone number, walang address, etc. etc. At kung minsan, kung early stages, napakalaki ng chances ng recovery. I personally know because I'm also keeping an eye on particular regions na kung nag-positive sila, nakuha sa boarding house. Merong isa nakuha sa kanyang boyfriend. Kasi tumawid siya sa isang syudad na napakataas ng COVID. Galing siya sa isang probinsya na walang COVID. Pag uwi niya, di pasalubong niya sa kanyang bayan ay yung COVID. Yung ganong mga, there are cases like that. I'm not saying na we are not, that is their fault because hindi naman sila aware ng ganon. Gusto ko lang ibigay ng example because what is the subject of the intense interest is DepEd to blame for your how many people out of your nearly 900,000 teachers is to blame for the 16 people. Oo. Sa contact tracing, ang hirap ng information. Sa akin, madali lang kasi exactly natitrace namin. 45 people, not a single one, lahat talaga negative. In-isolate sila. Ako din, in-isolate ako. 4 weeks akong isolation. So na-track namin kung your information is complete. But unfortunately, hindi naman lahat nagbibigay ng complete information. It turns out na may pinuntahang lugar, bangko, markets, visitors, yung mga ganon. Mayroong isang region kasama sa boarding house. Pero iba naman, hindi naman DepEd yung kasamahan sa boarding house. Yung ganon. So this is very challenging work, not only for DepEd but for all agencies and perhaps for the entire community of COVID. And of course, we appreciate the intense interest and curiosity about DepEd, but it's also interesting to look at what is also happening sa kabuuan para makuha natin yung picture na yan. Contact tracing ngayon talagang very, very challenging right now. So example lang yon na if we want to do it, we can do it. Many other regions are also doing it. Sa regional level, matitrace nila, matatrack nila sa mga schools. And that is what is coming out of your 800 recorded since since February ito, no? Oo. Thank you for the intense and detailed interest in DepEd.
Second question po, this is on a different topic altogether. Pagdating po sa admissions ngayon ng mga schools, ano na po yung new normal, especially sa private schools? If ever they're adapting to a new normal way of admissions, ano po ang inyong advice?
I think, Jasmine, that's directed to Director Ko or Yusek Dad?
Yusek Dads.
Kahit kanino po.
Yusek Dads, go ahead po. Yusek Dads?
Yes.
Go ahead po. Yes, sir.
So in terms of admission policies, was it the question on what conditions we require?
Yes, sir.
To allow the learners to be enrolled in the schools?
Yes, sir.
I think what we have
schools na po nagsasabing, may mga ibang schools na po nagsasabi na wala na pong entrance exams. May iba naman po nag-iisip ng entrance exams pero online, but they don't know how to do it kasi nga mahirap namang magpa-online test. So some of them are requiring applicants to submit their credentials. Now, ano po yung general, kasi kayo po ay nasa DepEd na po, ano po yung general perspective dito ng DepEd? Ano na po yung nagiging practice ngayon? At meron po ba kayong mga advice, especially for those in private schools? Kasi sila po yung talagang nag-acquire na po ng mga bagong admission policies.
Kami sa DepEd generally walang exams except for the special programs. So walang nabago sa policies namin. With the private schools, parang ang ano namin is sila rin ang gumagawa ng polisiya nila. So essentially autonomous din sila. But ako ay represent the secretary sa Philippine Science High School System at pinag-usapan yan sa recent meeting ng Board of Trustees na kung ano yung option sa pag-recruit ng learners kasi highly selective sila, di ba? So they used to administer a nationwide entrance exams. Wala pa ring final decision but they are exploring other options like considering the grades sa grade 6, but there should be a way to standardize the grades kasi iba-iba naman yung pagmamarka sa bawat school. With regards to the administration of other exams, lalo na sa aming mga special curriculum, parang ganun din yung we are still reviewing, so hindi pa siya final. Pero ang tingin ko, syempre ang klarado naman ay kahit sino ngayon pwedeng magpa-enroll kahit wala pa ng credentials because we have moved the submission of credentials to the end of December. Kasi we understand na hindi nga possible na nandyan na yan lahat ngayon sa mga bata. So we have even allowed that in our system para sa DepEd. Pero yung mga private schools, ang ang ano ko diyan ay kung ano pa rin yung kanilang mga mechanisms, the Department of Education will not interfere. So sila pa rin yung magde-decide.
Pero ano po yung minimum criteria po nito if ever they are changing their admissions policies?
Hindi sila pwede mag-accept, halimbawa, grade 6 na yung bata hindi naman pumasa sa grade 5. That should be parang a very important requirement na nakapasa yung bata at na-promote.
Sir?
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Maraming salamat, Yusek Dads. Ang susunod na magtatanong po ay si Ina Hernando ng Manila Bulletin. Ina?
Hello, good afternoon. This is for ASEC GH and Director ko regarding the MHPSS for the ALS learners. Ano po yung setup right now?
Okay, hi Ina. Ang ating mga inuuna muna natin, no, yung pagte-train sa ating mga teachers kung paano sila mag-a-administer ng itong psychosocial first aid. And then after that, pag okay na yung mga materials din at na-determine na rin namin kung sino-sino yung mga talagang papasok, i-administer po ito sa ating mga learners just to ensure, no, na kumbaga alam naman natin na in a pandemic, we're coming from a pandemic at kailangan ng socio-emotional support ng ating mga learners, especially for us, lalo na take for example, sinabi ni Ma'am Liling kanina na medyo mababa pa rin yung enrollment compared to the last 2 years where we were reaching almost 800,000, but now we are still at 358,000, and it is explained by number one, no, marami tayong mga learners, karamihan sa mga learners natin ay nagtatrabaho na. So, nung nagsara mga kumpanya at ang Maynila ay nag-lockdown, karamihan sa kanila umuwi, malamang nawalan sila ng trabaho. So, ito yung mga sinasabi nga namin sa pag-discuss din namin ni Director Ronnie on how we will work about this. Kasi medyo mas matatanda itong mga nasa ALS. So, paano natin sila susuportahan? But definitely in ALS, kasama doon sa instruction ni Sec Liling na dapat lahat ng learners and even the teachers magkaroon ng or mag-undergo ng psychosocial support training or for our ALS learners, lalo na ini-introduce namin ngayon yung post-program and post-program support for them na gagabayan talaga namin sila knowing their special situations. And also, sorry Ina, I mentioned kanina na meron kaming life skills for work readiness and civic engagement program. Yung unang module doon will be, it really teaches our learners to be a bit more grounded, to start setting goals for themselves. Napakahalaga na matanong natin parang in this time of pandemic, ano ba ang goal mo ngayon sa buhay mo? So first module will have that, and then i-combine namin doon sa mga ibibigay na mga modules at training ng ating mga partners, of course, no, sa pangunguna ng UNICEF, USAID has been helping us, and of course yung sa parte ng ating DRRMS. Director ko.
Sige, Ina.
Director, hello po, Director ko. I think more on the, magpo-focus po ako more on the manner or yung delivery po of the psychosocial services. How do we intend to do this? Especially now that the ALS students are also home-based.
Sige. Kasi ang ginagawa natin sa kasalukuyan ay online, ano? So as I said, nag-umpisa nga kami May pa lang. Yung May na yon ay nag-umpisa kami general for all elementary learners, for all secondary learners, kanyan. And then we began in July to actually yung pay attention to inclusivity talaga. So nag-separate kami ng mga for learners with disabilities, including their parents, their teachers, kanyan. Kasama din yung mga parents at large, no? And then, tama yung sabi ni ASEC GH, nag-usap kami actually yung interface of how do we provide, ganyan. So, meron kaming iba-ibang modalities, ano? So, we have Syempre may online tayo for those of gadgets, pero sa lahat ito gagawin natin. Meron yung TV broadcast, no? Susubukan din natin yung sa radio, at meron ding mga modular, may modules din actually. So hard to reach areas talaga. So we just need to muna fine tune yung namin kasi kami, may facing kami, no, interface. In fact, kahit yung sa IPs namin, actually we've discussed with our IP office na gumagawa din kami ng modules actually na yung activities naman ay mas sensitive sa culture ng ating mga anak na nasa indigenous communities. So yun.
Okay, thank you po. For Secretary Briones, you mentioned po before that there's a plan to hire para teachers or tutors for the students na yung mga parents nila hindi po sila kayang i-support pagdating sa blended learning. Meron po ba tayong update on this?
Ang sagutin ko na diretso, Director June, ang DBM, nagbigay sila ng assurance. Ang nagpa-follow up nito ay sila, USEC Jess, no? Kasi sila ang nakikideal with the Civil Service Commission. Pero gusto natin itong pursue kasi although may program din tayo, not only sa grupo ni Director Ronnie, but at the regional level, yung sinabi ko na nga na I know for a fact that Caraga has such a program, Valenzuela has such a program. At saka on their own, nakikita nila yon. Ayan, nandyan si Yusek Jess. Siguro makadagdag siya sa progress niyan. Pero gusto ko din yung idea na yan dahil realistically, alam naman natin na may mga mothers talagang hindi sila handa. Not that hindi nila kaya, but nagtatrabaho sila, marami silang concerns. At saka, ewan ko Ina, nakita mo ba yung ating video about that mother who had 7 children? She had 7 children. Sa Laguna ito, nga siya mismo ang nag-tutor ng kanyang, kasi yung 7th child is still an infant, pero lahat yan. Pero nag-undergo siya ng exposure at training naman doon sa school. Kasi iba't ibang oras naman yung mga programs at saka kitang-kita that it can work kung may interest ang isang nanay. Pero kung ang nanay ay nagtatrabaho, nangingisda o nag-farm kasi ginagawa yan ng mga nanay also, kailangan nandyan naman yung ate, nandyan yung halimbawa yung yaya or whoever, kamag-anak, usually kamag-anak yan iniiwan yung mga bata minsan. So we are open to that at nandito si Yusek Jess na pwede niyang further sa isang sulat nga namin, mayroong talagang nagsulat ng formal sa amin tungkol dyan, ganun ang sagot namin. So Yusek Jess.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, Ina. Yung update lang dyan, yung guidelines natin, syempre dadaan yan sa proseso. We're now finalizing that kasi we're just gathering the comments of our EXICOM as well as ng Civil Service Commission. Ang iniisip natin dyan based on our last press con, di ba? Ang source of funding yan will come mostly from the Special Education Fund and even doon sa school MOE natin, kagaya ng report nga ni Yusek Ann, no? As you can see, our DepEd's budget right now is really limited, no? That's why we're exploring other possibilities of sourcing that. In terms of prioritization, ang tinitignan natin dyan talaga para hindi mabilis yung transmission, nakalagay yan doon sa draft guidelines natin, kung pwede nga kunin na lang yung taga doon mismo para wala nang traveling, no? Doon sa mga retired o kaya yung mga na-apektuhan ng pandemya from the private school, yan po yung kukunin natin. But then again, as I've said, no, we're just refining, finalizing the guidelines based on the comments of our EXICOM members and then finally yung Civil Service Commission. Salamat. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ina.
Okay po. For my last question is, I think for Secretary Briones also, meron pong mga teachers who are medyo older teachers who are having a hard time adjusting dun sa sa blended learning at dun sa mga requirements and even dun sa training, and some of them are actually considering to retire kasi nahihirapan po sila. Meron po ba tayong specific training or program for these older teachers na hindi masyadong makarelate sa tech?
Actually, isa na ako sa kanila. I teach all the time, but mahina ako talaga sa sa ICT and all that. So tinuturuan pa ako, in-explain pa sa akin yung mga bagay-bagay. Pero mayroon tayong sinabi nga kanina ni Director Abram kung ilan na yung natitrain. Yung talagang may interest maliban sa yung mag-express ng kanilang mga anxieties, etc. Mayroon namang mga available na mga webinars tayo, mga training programs na pwede silang turuan at saka mag-aral. Kasi ngayon, halimbawa sabihin natin na mag-retire sila, pero kung mag-retire sila, maghanap sila ng ibang trabaho, yun din ang isang yun din ang expectation sa kung saan man sila pupunta na mayroong at least kunting kaalaman. Isa kong kaibigan na palagi kong sinasite, siya PhD in mathematics, but he's not very good in ICT. Iba yung kanyang mathematics, higher level. Nag-aaral na siya ngayon paano, how to teach online, mga ganon. Kung seryoso ang isang tao, mayroon naman talagang paraan, and the opportunities are always available. At saka makatulong ang ating mga officials on the ground para maka-identify ng appropriate training which is possible. Ako nga sa palagay ko, hindi na talaga siguro ako matuturuan dahil ang tigas-tigas na ng ulo ko. Nakikidibate na ako sa nagturo sa akin. Ang dami kong tanong. Pero sila ang may pag-asa, ako ang walang pag-asa na matututo pa ako. Pero I really have to because yun ang tawag ng ng panahon, and yun ang mahirap, and we sympathize with those who have to make the appropriate adjustments. And this is where perhaps Ronnie, you can devise a program para nitong ating mga teachers na who realistically are threatened by all this and all this online etc. At saka yung language ibang-iba, hindi basta-basta maintindihan. Ako, pag sasabihin akong sa cabinet namin na let's go to the lobby or someone is waiting in the lobby for me, nakaupo lang ako doon. Let's now move to the workshop room. Anong workshop room? Nasa kwarto lang kami lahat So, nakiki-argue pa ako, where is the workshop room? Because I stand up. Yung pala, pipindot ka lang yung libro, mga ganyan-ganyan. So, siguro sa unti-unti, ang importante, Ronnie, na maano yung maibsan yung anxiety, which put her fingers on yung anxiety of change. Ang mga bata natin threatened by change. Pero yung atin ding mga older, more senior teachers are also threatened by this new normal, etc. Kaya ako, I don't use new normal Kasi blended learning, undergrad pa sila, tinuro na sa kanila yun Distance learning, kasing edad ko yan, 1940 pa yan. So, maalaala nila yun sa kanilang mga libro, sa kanilang professors. Tsaka, basta sabihin lang nila na yun ang pangangailangan nila. So, ma-shape yung ating training, yung ating mga upskilling programs according to their needs. Kailangan siguro, based on Ina's feedback, mayroon tayong needs assessment. Kasi ngayon we have general webinars, general programs, pero at the level of the school or of the teachers, magkaroon tayo ng needs assessment kung exactly saan nagkukulang. ang teachers na kailangan i-upskill sila. Okay. Yeah. Kasi alam mo, I'm really surprised. Sinabi ko na nga na naggulat ako because I always assume, for example, NCR, how many percent? Lahat naman yan nagdadala-dala ng mga tablets, mga laptops, mga meetings, minsan 2, tapos mayroon pang cellphone na 3. Pero ngayon magsabi ka na we are shifting to online, everybody becomes anxious. So, mayroon pa rin dapat siguro gagawin. At saka they have time. Manila, magdi-distribute na next week. This coming Wednesday. So, makapractice na siguro sila. Okay. Tony.
Okay po, thank you.
Thank you so much, Secretary. So, we're on to our last 2 members from the media who will ask, ma'am, si Dante and Marian, but second to the last, Dante Amante po ng UNTP. Dante, go ahead.
Hello po, dinig na po ako?
Yes, go ahead. Good afternoon.
Maayong hapon, Secretary, magandang hapon po sa lahat. Secretary, follow up ko lang yung natapos na yung ating broadcast sa TV, yung test broadcast. Ano ko lang kung ano yung natutunan nyo doon, kailangan nyo pa pong i-improve doon sa test broadcast. Natandaan po natin noong nakaraan, may pong mali doon sa ano na po yung kailangan nyo yung baguhin doon na nakita based, halimbawa kung may mga comment na ipinaabot sa inyo ang ating ang public po, Secretary.
Ako mismo, kasi sabi nga nila na kailangan i-verify, i-confirm kung makatanggap ka ng feedback. Ako mismo, sinubukan kong tingnan na sampling, random sampling lang ha, basta nagbukas lang ako, tiningnan ko at saka nakita ko na may pagkukulang. So kailangan talagang hahabulin itong mga pagkukulang na ito. At saka ako naman, kami sa DepEd, nagpapasalamat sa mga nagbigay ng not necessarily hostile feedback. Ayoko na, papag-aralin yung anak ko dyan sa DepEd, church, go to age, etc. Hindi kayo marunong mag-English, Marami ding natanggap kaming suggestion na nagbo-volunteer silang tumulong na mag-identify, magtingin, mag-review, kung may makikita pang mga pagkukulang para ma-correct ito at saka mahabol. At saka this can be the basis also of further upskilling of our teachers. Ako mismo ang nakikita ko kasi pag sasabihan sa akin, report sa akin, bine-verify ko at saka ako ang pumipili ko anong tinitingnan ko. As I said, random really kulang na dapat i-correct. At saka as I said, salamat sa mga nagbo-volunteer at saka nagfi-feedback. Hindi naman lahat na galit at nagmumura, nangungutya. Hindi naman ganoon lahat. Mas marami yung nagbo-volunteer na tutulong at we welcome such at ipapasa ko yan sa ating Undersecretary for Curriculum. So may panahon pa naman na maayos itong mga pagkukulang.
Yes po, just i-follow up na lang po, Secretary. Yung may mga TV stations na po bang nag-volunteer na mag-i-air ng ating program? Gaya nung may proposal yata sa Congress na approve na rin sa committee level, meron na bang mga list po ng mga TV stations, whether public or private po, na tutulong sa ating para sa ating paggamit po ng TV as a modality ng ating pagtuturo?
Napakarami, Dante. Napakarami. From the municipality up to the city, to the province, to the region. Ang dami-daming Kasi pag nakikita nila na kailangan talagang mag-join in dahil this is a national endeavor, itong pagbabago na ito. Ang dami-daming nag-offer ng kanilang programs, nag-offer ng airtime, at nakikipag-usap sila at the local level. At saka yung ibang mas malakihan, gusto nila buong bansa, mayroong iba gusto buong region, etc. Ayan, kailangan i-discuss in detail. Pero at the municipal level, marami ding instances. Kasi nasa batas kasi yan na kailangan ang television, a certain percentage of their airtime has to be dedicated for children. So, presumably, may mga existing programs na sila. Nakakagulat nga na napakadami palang programs na para sa bata at the local level. Akala namin isa o dalawa lang ang gumagawa, yung mga big time lang talaga servers. Pero ngayon nakita namin even at the municipal level, they have programs for children. Also at the city and the provincial level. Kasi siguro napansin ninyo maraming municipalities na may sariling radio station, may sariling TV station. At saka may mga schools na ang balak nila mag-set up sila, maski limited lang ang reach. Kasi kung municipality ang sa school, alam nila kung gaano kalawak ang reach nila, na mag-set up na sila ng sarili nilang radio or TV stations. Mayroong isang province na alam ko sa Mindanao na talagang province-wide ang ginagawa nila. So, ang dami-dami, spontaneous, and this is the good thing that is now happening. Hindi lang na magsabi tayo, isang grupo lang ang marunong dyan o dalawang grupo lang ang marunong dyan at saka Tagaluzon lang ang marunong dyan. You go to Mindanao, you go to the north, ang daming marunong pala. And that is a blessing.
Daghang salamat, Secretary.
Daghang salamat po, Usab.
Maraming salamat, Dante, ng UNTV. Thank you so much, ma'am. And ang huling magtatanong, ma'am, ay si Marian Enriquez ng TV5.
Hi
Marian.
po. Good afternoon po, Secretary Ling. Good afternoon po. Hello. Yes po. Director ko mentioned po earlier that of the 797 COVID-19 cases po recorded as of yesterday, 14 po ang work-related. Maliit man nga po itong numero na to kumpara sa kabuang bilang. Pero ma'am, we still have 14 people who got infected while working. So my question po would be, how are we ensuring the safety of our personnel, yung pagsusort po ng mga modules, even to the distribution po ng ating mga self-learning modules? Are we providing PPEs? Paano po yung ating magiging system? Thank you po.
Sige. Lahat naman po yung sa ating required health standards kasi meron po tayo talagang mga requirements sa ating mga workforces pag pumasok. So kompleto po lahat yun, pati po disinfection ng mga offices on a daily basis, at yung pag-wear ng mask, may mga alcohol, lahat po ng provisions complete naman. So sinasabi natin na may mga nangyayari nga na hindi natin inaasahan, but all the protocols po are actually in place, as per our yung mga alternative work arrangements natin at doon din po sa ating required health standards. So yun po ang aking doon ay sasagot.
Ko lang kasi I like the question. Kung nakita ninyo yung documentary about what Navotas is doing, yung paghanda nila ng learning modules, paano nila yon linilinis at saka bago nila ilalagay sa school in a box. Kitang-kita yan sa documentation nila sa kanilang dry runs. So maybe it would be good June later kung mayroong future tayo na ipapakita ayon kung anong ginagawa. And I'm sure Navotas is not the only one doing it. So every precaution is always taken. Hindi naman kayo sa nagpapabaya, bahala na kayo, itatambak ninyo yung mga Kasi sa amin nga, sa DepEd, yung mga documents na pumapasok sa akin na galing sa labas, na kailangan pirmahan, kailangan i-review, sinasanitize mo na yan bago makarating sa akin. Kaya kung minsan, mayroong lag time of 1 or 2 days dahil hindi yan basta-basta automatic pinapasa. Ganon din sa mga learning modules. Ito ay parang hindi ewan ko kung kailangan pa ba na padalhan natin ng memorandum ang mga schools. Yan, makikita mo that is Cavite National High School in Calabarzon, kung paano sila mag-iimpake, kompleto ng care. And then as I said, yung una talaga nating na-document, yung this is DepEd Manila, in NCR, hindi tayo nagiging careless, hindi tayo nagiging kulang yon. Pinapak, sinasanitize, lahat yung mga bagay na yan ay tinuturo natin sa ating mga teachers. Kung mayroong mga cases na talagang nagkakaroon ng infection, hindi natin masabi-sabi na we cannot engage in finger pointing. What we can say is that we have done everything. Look at Misamis Occidental in Region 10. Hindi yan nagsasaksak lang ng mga material sa mga sako-sako dyan. At saka talaga, all the safety precautions are in place. In Cebu, lalo na sa Cebu, very careful talaga sila dahil nga napakataas ng level ng COVID nila. At hindi naman natin masabi na kung mataas ang COVID sa Cebu ay dahil sa DepEd. Ay talagang that is the city-wide and province-wide situation. So, nagtitake care tayo sa ating mga tao. So, yun lahat show the care that we have undertaken to make sure that the materials, kasi may parent pa nga na tumawag sa akin galing Singapore kasi natatakot sila na yung nagtatambak tayo ng mga materials natin kung saan-saan, mga infected, etc. Kaya ayaw na niyang papag-aralin yung anak niya. Yung sinasabi namin, talagang lahat-lahat yan, nakadenomero yan sa schools natin. At saka kung mayroon pa rin nangyayari, yan, trabaho nila ni Ronnie na napakahirap na trabaho. Mag-trace kung saan ang galing yung That's the contact tracing. It's not a DepEd problem alone. It's a national challenge to all agencies, to all local governments, the contact tracing. That's yun. Doon tayo nasa stuck. Kaya iba't iba yung numbers at saka figures. Tayong numbers natin direct from our offices. Kasi ang sa Department of Health, ang kanilang datos, mga statistics nila, kung pupunta ka sa Department, hoy, kumusta na anong ginagawa ni DepEd, hindi mo yan makukuha. Dahil ang monitor nila, ang political structure ng bansa. Province so-and-so, municipality so-and-so, barangay so-and-so, itong street na ito. Pero hindi nagsasabi na ang DepEd school na ito, nagpapabaya. Hindi nila yan ating responsibility yan. Yun na tama si Congressman Romulo na each agency has to be responsible for its people. And we do take our responsibilities very seriously. Ganun naman talaga mga lola.
Thank you po. Follow-up lang po, Secretary and Director. If ever po, moving forward, with this increasing number of COVID-19 cases sa ating sector, sa ating teaching and non-teaching personnel, even with our learners, paano po yung gagawin natin na kung makaka-apekto nga po ito, lalo na po sa papalapit na pasukan? Paano po, kunyari ako ay estudyante, magkakasakit ako, paano po ba yung mga nakahanda nating protocols or guidelines po pagdating sa eskwela?
Protocols, rinicite na yan kanina ni Ronnie. Oo. Mulat sa poll ay yung pag-close ng academic year, nag-set out na kami ng mga protocols, including, as I said, assessment of students whether they should graduate or not, in spite of the fact na walang last grading examinations, may formula na ginawa, etc. So the protocols are in place, and the responsibility is that of the department, and also that of our people themselves, no? So kung todo instructions, kung todo video, kung todo webinars, etc. And nandyan na nasasabi na lahat. Kung halimbawa may mag-feeling sila na may symptoms, kung kanino pupunta, sinong kukontakin, etc. I also get calls directly to me kung talagang nagkaroon ng komplikasyon. So, lahat ginagawa. Ang gusto ko lang ipaabot sa madlang people, hindi naman nagpapabaya. ang Department of Education. Dahil nakikita namin ito, sa close pa ng school year. So the protocols are in place. But the other part, the responsibility is also that of the patients themselves. Like yung nangyari sa isang probinsya, nagprosesyon. Oo, at the height of an ECQ assessment, o may mga socials, etc. Kasi it's always fun to disobey, di ba? Oo, mas masaya namang mag-disobey kaysa mag-obey. Pero nandyan yung lahat ng mga At saka kung anong mangyari, no questions asked na. Bakit saan ka pumunta, etc. etc. Bakit ka pumunta sa boyfriend mo na alam mo naman na wala na yung mga ganyanan. Basta diretsong tutulungan at hindi pinapabayaan yung mga At saka yung right now, the kids are in the care of their parents. Kasi nasa family home sila kasi may nagtatanong anong ginagawa natin sa mga bata. Right now, nasa sariling bahay sila. At saka nandyan din yun sa konstitusyon na responsibility ng parents for as long as the children are in their care. Pero kami, tumutulong din kami kung hinihingian kami ng tulong. Kaya nga, parang sabi laging handa. Basta huwag lang sabihin na kami ay nagkukulang, kami ay nagtatamad-tamad, at saka we don't care. Because we do care and we take care of those who are already identified and established. Central office, we have one. And she is safely already taken care of in one of our facilities na in isolation. Iisa out of 1,000 plus na employees natin. At saka sa ibang mga lugar. At saka ako, I call up my regional directors in the middle of the night or early in the morning. Alam nila yon, ready sila palagi. Nakabukas yung kanilang mga cellphone dahil I call anytime. Pag may balita ang media, salamat sa media na nagsasabi na ganito nangyari, tinatanong ko kaagad, mag-submit kayo ng report. Alam ni ni Ronnie yan na tumatawag kami. So, mayroon namang good news. Mayroon namang magandang ibabalita. Mayroon namang pagmamahal. Mayroon namang pagkikare. Mayroon namang concern. Tsaka, hindi naman lahat nagnanakaw o nag-aabuso. Hindi naman tayo ganyan as Filipinos. Thank you.
Thank you po. Last na lang po. Sorry, last na po talaga ito. Mensahe na lang po sa ating mga guro, yung mga teachers groups po who are calling for, provision of needed laptops, gadgets, and 1,500 internet allowance daw po for all teachers and indigent learners. Yun na lang po. Thank you.
Gusto ko din sagutin yan. Enjoy ako . Yung tungkol sa gadgets, magto 2 years na kami nagdi-distribute. Over 1 million gadgets na pinapawisan na si John. Umentra si Secretary. Strong advice ni John na wag akong masyado magsalita. Pero over 1 million gadgets na ang nadi-distribute. Tawa si John. Nadi-distribute natin. At saka color-coded yan. Nakita mo ba yung kulay ng damit ni Ronnie? Oo. Color-coded yan para sa primary. Ganyan ang kulay ng blue. Light blue. Tapos hanggang high school, that is the darkest blue, color-coded. Pagbukas mo But we have cases na nakita na namin na sa shopping mall, naka-advertise na for sale mga second-hand computers. Pero pagbukas ng buksan mo yan, nagsasabi, this is the property of the Department of Education. Yun din ang gagawin sa mga gadgets na i-distribute ni Yorme. This is from this is from Yorme and this is from the Department of Education. At hindi yan matanggal-tanggal. Kaya you buy at your own risk kung mawala man yan. Dahil minsan sinasabi na ninanakaw. At saka mayroong undertaking ang parents and the child kasi bibigyan ng tablets yung up to the primary grades, di ba? Para makapractice na sila na mag-commit ang parents na alagaan nila yung tablets na ibigay sa mga learners. Can you imagine, Manila has more than 10,500 teachers. Lahat yan bibigyan ni Yorme at saka ng school board. Kasi joint yan ng school board at saka ni Yorme. Bibigyan sila kasi ang complaint niya, ay luma na yung aming mga laptops, luma na yung aming mga tablets. So ayun ang situation, because we want to encourage them to move towards technology. And also another reason, kanina somebody was asking question about the 65 billion thing. Much of that is for printed modules. Mahal na mahal, di hamak ang pag-print ng modules sa mga pag-procure ng paper, printing, mga procurement process, bidding, etc. Matagal na matagal. Di hamak na cheaper ang pag-produce ng gadgets at saka passionista ka pa. So, gusto namin, kasi nakakagulat, ang dami nating nagdala-dala ng mga cellphone, mga kung ano-ano. Pagkatapos tanungin mo anong gusto mo module. So, even in NCR, so gusto natin ma-encourage na pagbibigyan na sila ng mga gadgets, they will lean more on the gadgets. Sa malalayang lugar naman, we have isa sa ating mga organization na nag-assist sa atin, na tutulong naman silang magbigay ng radyo. Pero hindi yung ordinaryong radyo na patapon na hindi na natin ginagamit. Kailangan solar, kailangan ganitong size, kailangan waterproof dahil tatawid ka ng dagat o lalangoy ka ng river, etc. So, mayroon din tayong multilateral partner na nag-i-interest sa radyo at sa TV. So, ayun. So, we'll probably run out of excuses to say na hindi pwede. At the bottom, para sa akin, ang pinaka-bottom line natin is the learners. That's what I always say. Yung nga lang single pa si JS kaya hindi ko matanong, no? Yung isang kaibigan ko sabi, postpone naman isang lawmaker. Sabi ko, tanungin mo nga yung apo mo. Gusto ba niyang next year pa siya mag-aral? At sabi niya, and then she admitted that her apo wants schooling. Tapos yung isa naman, tuwan-tuwa siya kasi ngayon naghanda na ng uniform kasi kunwari sa bahay lang siya papasok pero mag-uniform siya, mag-shoes siya para feeling talagang nasa school siya. Naku, tuwan-tuwa naman itong isang lolo sa apo niya na mabisi na yung kanilang anak. So, yun ang bottom line is our learners, not ourselves, our own ambitions, our agenda. It's really the learners, and right now our learners are way behind, and we have to recognize that, and that's it. We have catching up to do, and all of us have to work together. Nakalusot naman ako kay John.
Thank you po. Thank you so much for the closing statement, ma'am.
Wala na.
Wala na akong magtatanong.
Sobrang abuso na, hindi na ako mag-closing. Baka itong ating mga beauties natin at mga pogies ang gustong mag-closing. O ikaw ba dyan?
Si Direk Ronnie siguro, anong paalala niya sa ating mga siya yung pinakamaagang program yung MPH.
Basta yung laptop natin, kakulay ng damit ni Ronnie, yung para sa lower grades. May mga color code yan. Okay. Sige.
Direk
Ronnie.
Salamat po sa lahat ng nakinig sa ating press conference ngayon. Nare-recognize nating lahat yung challenge ng situation at all fronts. Iba-iba po. Buhay individual, buhay sa loob ng pamilya, buhay na may kaugnay sa pag-aaral ng ating mga anak at tayo mismo. But the Secretary has been very clear, no, time and again, at kahit dito sa ating press con, no, that she cares, the department cares, no. Challenging nga lang talaga. So hindi rin lahat ng gusto natin na ideal, no, ay kaya at all at once, hindi po ba? Pero nakita rin ninyo na ginagawa nating lahat. At recognize din naman nakasama kayo dito, no, mga teachers, lalo na ang ating mga kawani, ang ating mga magulang, no. Pero ang lahat ng punto ng ito ay sinasabi rin na para sa ating mga anak, para sa ating mga mag-aaral. At ito yung ating di ba? Ito yung ating common pinagtatagpo tayo dito sa pananaw na ito. Kaya naman lahat ay bubunuin natin, kakayanin natin, no, magtutulungan tayo at maging din tayo sa isa't isa. Di ba? Dahil ito napakahirap talaga, no? Let us be realistic, no? Hindi po 'to sinasa utak eh. Dinaraanan natin lahat yung epekto nito. May nagsabi nga sa akin na kaibigan, no? In a retreat, no, na pare, sabi niya, kung hindi ka nakakaranas ng epekto nito, nitong COVID, wala ka dito sa planetang ito. Di ba? So whether it's parents, it's teachers, it's students, even us po, administrators, officials at lahat, dumaraan po dito. So may common experience tayo eh. May common experience tayo ng challenge, ng anxiety, ng fear, lahat po yan common sa ating lahat. Kaya naman, may common din nagbabind sa atin ng pagtingin sa ating vision. Diba? Ito, tinutulak tayo ng ating vision. And of course, in the end, may common rin tayo, pinagsasamahan, and that's compassion towards one another. Because ang future ay binubuo natin pare-pareho. Sama-sama tayo. Ika nga, no, ng Presidente, ng ating Secretary, we heal as one. Diba? Kaya kailangan natin handang isip, handa bukas. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat.
Very well said, Director Ronnie. Maraming salamat po sa ating magaling na director ng DRMS. And of course, maraming salamat sa ating kalihim, Secretary Leonor Magtolis-Briones. Maraming salamat, ma'am. Maraming salamat din sa ating mga kasamahan sa national and local media, no? Sa ating mga TV and radio channels na nag-live stream ng ating press conference ngayong araw na ito, sa ating mga magulang, mga stakeholders, mga kapwa-kawani ng kagawaran ng edukasyon, at ang ating mga mag-aaral who are at the center of our policies and priorities. So abangan po natin ang susunod na Handang Isip Handa Bukas sa weekly updates, tuloy-tuloy hanggang sa pagbubukas ng ating klase. Ako po si June Arvin Godoy ng DepEd Public Affairs. Handang Isip Handa Bukas. Magandang hapon po.